And welcome everyone to another episode of Sharing with Shellshock. I am your host, ShellshockPrime, and right here tonight we are going to be having a discussion on Kids WB, and we got 4 returning guests. Good to see you, Korshal. Welcome back.
Thank you. I know people didn't get enough of me just a couple days ago. I'm psyched to be back.
And it's good to have you back. EpicMan, welcome back.
It is good to be back here. I'm really glad to be back and talking about cartoons again.
Absolutely. And good to have you back on as well, Matt.
Thank you, buddy. Glad to be here with my fellow old men talking about the Kids WB glory days. Sort of thing.
Yep. And that is the Animaniacs background for EpicMan, Wheel of Morality. And also good to have you back on, Hito. Welcome back.
Hey, I don't have to wear anything. I don't have to wear anything special today. Nice.
Yep. So
On the controversy, we can take things off.
No.
no.
TOS.
So
We can't expose him yet.
no. It's not like that tonight. It's not like that. Anyway, so we're gonna have a really nice discussion on Kids WB, but before we do that, Korshal, remind everybody what type of content you do.
All right, I do 2 main things on the internet. One, on YouTube, I make music remixes about video game songs. I really like doing that. I do synth rock stuff, and I mainly do a lot of sound font things with Mega Man X SNES stuff. And then on Twitch, I'm a variety streamer. I mainly like platformers or other similar stuff like related to indie games, and a lot of Mario Party Madness shenanigans.
Awesome. EpicMan, remind everybody what you do.
Mainly, I do our variety games on my streams, and I just like to talk about weird stuff, anime, games, and such, and making memories with friends, pretty much.
Excellent. Matt, remind everybody what you do.
Oh boy, what do I do? On a website that only knows fear, I'm a streamer that has none. I talk about way too many anime girls, I swear a lot, I drink, I smoke candy cigarettes, and I play Nintendo, PlayStation, PC games. Up to my liking.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you do. All right.
That's like a triple threat right there.
I know, right?
Now, Hito, tell us
Cigarettes.
tell us what you do, Hito.
I am your Bear Boy host, Hito. I run the podcast, The Retrogade. I also play a lot of games in the Madness group, which now I've become the landlord of the Top Shot Madness game that's going on completely crazy in the Madness group. I've officially gained the title landlord as in common at the same time where Matt gained the title Santa Fucker.
Santa fucker!
Oh my God.
She don't know you, little bro.
Oh
But-
my fucking God.
Jesus Christ.
I also do mix music and make covers of anime Glitch Soon of chiptune and synth.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. Well, so Kids WB has been around since September of 1995. They acquired, because like when the WB as a channel launched earlier that year, and then Kids WB launched in September, they took a couple of shows away from Fox Kids. Those being Animaniacs and Batman, because they used to and Tiny Toons. They used to air on Fox Kids, but then at least Animaniacs and Batman moved over to Kids WB and started airing and they were airing new episodes around that time, and then they made shows originally for the channel. But then we would start seeing multiple shifts, like in addition to Batman, we would have Superman. They had the whole Batman Superman block. Then we got the rise of anime. We got Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Mega Man, NT Warrior, many others. And the block has been around up until like 2008, when they rebranded it to CW4 Kids, the Toon's Eye, and then Vortex, and then the block just died, but not with a bang, but with a whimper. But Kids WB has been around for so many years. So, Korshal, we're going to start with you. When did you first watch Kids WB?
So it's hard for me to put a specific year to this, but I believe, just based on double checking when some of the shows started airing, the things I remember seeing at the time, my earliest exposure was during the later run of the Animaniacs and like Pinky and the Brain, because I look at those and like I definitely remember seeing most of those. I mean, the Pinky and the Brain theme was very, very iconic for its time, very much an earworm. So it was around then. I have much stronger memories of like I'd say like the 2003, 2004 kind of time period. But if we had to put like when I really say this is when I noticed this was a channel when stuff started happening. It was definitely I'd have to put that square at like 2000. I'd be way too tiny baby brain, I think, to have much memory of when those shows actually started. I was puny. I was like not
tiny and
conscious,
you were toony.
basically. Yeah. So yeah, I think 2000 because I definitely remember those shows. So about then, right when the new dawn of the aughts started.
Yeah. All right, that's fair. What about you, Epic? When did you first start watching?
Yeah, like I'm somewhat similar with Korshal saying how I don't remember exactly what year it was. I know that I am a huge watcher for Cartoon Network shows, and some of those shows in WB do get to go around onto Cartoon Network. So I would technically say I have been growing up with them like that, but I switch channels sometimes with other cartoon channels that I have in my cable that my parents own at the time. So it would probably, I mean, it would probably be just like around mid 2000, I would say, um, and watching Animaniacs, the Batman, some of the Superman, and and also Freakazoid as well. That was another one. Like there was a lot of shows that I could remember, but they also showed up on Cartoon Network. So it would be just sort of a crossover type of thing that I did, just watching both of those channels. And so yeah, like it's pretty much like around those times where I just watch on those channels together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like it's pretty much around the 2000s I started watching from there.
All right. What about you, Matt?
Well, it's funny. If I didn't double check all the notes we have, I would have said Pokemon 1998 in America, obviously. But apparently I've refreshed my memory due to the Wikipedia links, and Road Rovers was Kids WB. I clicked off the page, and it's like 95 or 96. So I guess I was watching Kids WB a lot, or at least that show, in 1995/6. I remember watching Road Rovers a lot. I liked the show. But I guess from what I can vaguely remember, it was a bunch of dogs that I think they sled a lot. They had a snow-based episode, and it was like Tonka rescue missions and dogs mixed together, like doing rescue operations, etc. It was cool.
Yeah.
Action dog. I'm down. All dogs went to heaven at the same time too, so dogs were very in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But then obviously I really got into the channel when Pokemon 98 started, and it was gravy ever since. Then I watched a handful of Mucha Lucha, Ozzy and Drix, and of course the good old Yu-Gi-Oh! Forgive me, I'm being a little silly tonight. Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
That was definitely a tongue twister. Anyway, what about you, Hito? When did you start watching Kids WB?
I would say it had to start in 1995 when I was like 2 because Tiny Toons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, Tiny Toons is mine too.
Oh, wait, not 2, 4 because 1997. But yes, Tiny Toons. And what got me into Tiny Toons? The Super Nintendo classic Bust on the Loose.
Bust Loose,
that one. Yes, that one got me into the game, and then I ended up seeing it. I'm like, oh, look, them. Awesome. And I just started watching it, but it really started to dawn on me the most for the game was when I was also started watching Animaniacs, Freakazoid, Bugs and Daffy, and then Hysteria at one point because I was like up at 6 a.m. that one time, and they were like, "Oh, we're time traveling, and we're going over everything that happened here," but this does not pale in comparison to the 2000 years when I did Static Shock, Mucha Lucha, Shaolin Showdown, my all-time favorite. Come at me. I wish I had some of those Shengong Wu in real life because I could get out of here and get to work on time.
Yeah.
Listen,
Same here.
Listen, it's the adult you that wish the childish shit existed in some way. Where I'm just like, listen, I don't care if there's gonna be 10,000 years of darkness. I want a damn golden tiger claw so I can just go wherever the fuck I want and not spend money.
Yeah.
Give me the orb of water, please.
Orb of Tornami.
Or Toonami, my bad. If I know the orb, yeah.
Yeah, but legitimately, that was my whole thing. And of course, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, that goes on to situations, but also Beautiful Joe,
Yes, the Beautiful Joe anime.
which I hate that they cut it off at 26 episodes when there was actually, in actuality, 52, where you get to both see Sylvia's transformation actually used in the freaking show, and Junior's, which is by far my favorite freaking transformation, because favorite weapon of mine,
Yep.
yo-yos.
Yo.
Because there was around the time where they just got rid of all the anime, like Pokemon, they got rid of it. Yu-Gi-Oh, they got rid of it. They got Beautiful Joe out of there.
And let's not forget Jackie Chan Adventures.
Jackie Chan Adventures was good, very good.
Agreed.
So I first started watching Kids WB, like it was off and on around like 95, 96. But I wasn't as hardcore, and I wasn't really into it like I would be later on. Like, because the other two channels that I was mainly watching were ABC and Fox Kids. But I would watch Kids WB every now and then, mainly whenever shows on the other two channels were like airing reruns. I'm like, let's just watch something on Kids WB, which around that time was like the era. It was mainly comedy shows when they first started. They had they had Freakazoid, they had Animaniacs. They would later have Road Rovers in '96. I watched it then. Which very underrated show. I kind of wish that it would have had more episodes. I watched Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. I enjoyed that show a lot. And they had the Earthworm Jim cartoon for one season. They had the Men in Black cartoon, like in '97. It's like when Men in Black was a hit movie, Kids WB acquired the show. So naturally, I would watch that as well. But again, like I said, I was off and on. So it was like around like 1995, 96. And even then, I was just off and on until later. But yeah, so that was pretty much my start for Kids WB. So I'm going to start with EpicMan on this next question. Do you think anime helped elevate Kids WB in your eyes?
Well, as someone that as I was a cartoon fan, like just watching cartoons pretty much all my childhood, I can't really say. I mean, no, I would say it would, but back then, anime wasn't as huge as of right now because it was a niche thing because Japan's bringing their own shows onto America. They wanted to try out and see if kids would love it, but they had to, of course, localize it and translate to things that it would make sense for our eyes because they didn't know if our eyes are going to understand on their eyes in their country, like with saying the jelly donuts with the that still bugs me because I was like, I don't know if that's jelly donuts, sir.
Hey, sorry, I'm drinking my can of water over here. My bad.
It's really onigiri.
Onigiri as jelly donuts because they didn't think it would be something that we know, so they did it anyway. But even then, I would say that it would sooner or later slowly, gradually become a thing. And I would say it did help with WB in a way because like they want to get some shows that would have a variety of not just cartoons and wacky stuff, like with Animaniacs or Freakazoid or even Batman. They wanted to have something different and feel unique for everyone to get into. And Pokemon was one of them. And Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball, and all that stuff they bring into the channel for some time. And it did feel like it did help for people to get into the channel to watch some of the other shows. So yeah, I mean, it did help. It really did help from my eyes. That I think it would help Kids WB to get some eyes on to their channel. So yeah.
All right. So what about you, Matt?
Springboard off Edman's answer, I would say it's a very symbiotic relationship. They both elevated each other. One, we would have never discovered Pokemon if it wasn't for Kids WB. I mean, like, I'm sure there were ways, but the thing that really helps Kids WB is that it was a public, like, channel. Like, you get it with normal bunny ear antennas. That wasn't the case with Nickelodeon and Toonami and Cartoon Network, etc. So, again, it really helped that these shows were extremely common on common channels. You even watch at grandma's house who probably didn't have cable, etc. Or maybe she did and you didn't. Who fucking knows? But anyway, it was definitely a symbiotic relationship. The popularity of both helped elevate each other all throughout the entire way. All throughout the entire way. And yes, Pokemon hugely helped, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a big hit too. Yu-Gi-Oh! I believe is like currently the 23 highest selling IP of all time. My Pokemon's number one. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Was also the 23rd like highest selling IP of all time. So again, helped. It was just money. It was just money in the bag. Money in the bank, if you will.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But yes, it was just a fun watch.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we as kids had to micromanage so much time to go over to a Fox box, go over to Fox Kids to watch stuff, go over to Nickelodeon to watch stuff. We had to really micromanage our Saturday morning. That's where all our time management came from.
There's too many other places to watch. Yeah.
But yes, that is my answer.
All right. Now, what about you, Hito?
Definitely a big boost in there because then we also had other titles that came into America like Card Captors, Beautiful Joe, Mega Man Battle Network. Pokemon definitely elevated. Mega Man definitely brought it up there too because I can't tell you how many times the PET, the portable freaking Mega Buster, and also all the figurines. Because remember, WB Kids also were good at selling what? Toys. So when it came down to it, when you have anime IPs that are coming in with good toys and regular cartoons coming in with toys, like let's say Shaolin Showdown releasing the Golden Tiger Claws and the Sword of the Storm as a Shengon Wu type thing, and not to mention Pokemon was a huge phenomenon for not only for kids but also for WB Kids because there's 150 of them in the first batch of it, not counting Mew, 151.
Yeah.
But there's 150 of one Pokemon. We can make toys of everything and sell it right off the bat. We get the board game by Milton Bradley. We get all of
Bradley.
all the Pokeball keychains with all the Pokemon on it. Obviously, my first Pokemon in the Pokeball was Bulbasaur.
Yep.
All of the cool stuff there. You're getting all of these things. Hell, knockoff stores like the free gift shops were just selling a whole bunch of Pokemon stuff that were not really Pokemon stuff, but they were Pokemon stuff, and that's how like big of a phenomenon it was. So definitely elevated the feud too.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Korshal?
Knockoff Yu-Gi-Oh cards was funny too.
So in a broader sense of the network, the other guests here have all pretty much spoken a lot of my mind. If we're talking about me personally, what put Kids WB more in my like, oh, this is that thing I should watch at like regularity. Yes, I admittedly, honestly, was with Pokemon in particular, which is kind of crazy to say, more of a VHS home media DVD kind of guy. Like I like just didn't know it was on that network. Somehow, some way, or else I definitely would have been tuning in way more than I did. The one that really put it on my like, oh, this is a spot to go for something I can't find anywhere else was Mega Man Net Warrior. As I know, I'm just talking about my love for Mega Man with music. It applies for everything. Go figure. And like usually, I'll say I'll admit it. When it comes to the networks, I was mainly a Fox Box 4Kids TV kind of kid because they sucked me in. They sucked me in with the anime of Kirby, especially, and Sonic. So during that era, you're just like, well, all right, I'm already like a video game, Nintendo platform kind of person. So these are the things I recognize. So like, you mainly tune in for that and you end up shuffling over to like the Kids WB when you're in between stuff. You're like, oh, all right, Kirby's over. I don't care about what's coming on next on 4Kids TV stuff. So you start like checking over the other channels and you start like, you keep track when you're young. You're like, all right, this channel at this time has this. Like we were talking about time management as like a half joke. And it's very true. You start like figuring out yourself, this is what I want to be in these times. And besides a couple other shows I'll mention in like the top 5 question, Net Warrior as the anime specifically made me go, wow, I didn't even realize there was a Mega Man show, and I like Mega Man stuff. I gotta start watching this.
Yes.
So, like, for me, on like a personal basis, did it help elevate like kids WB? Yes. The Mega Man Net Warriors single-handedly made that network more on my priority list because there was a show I really wanted to try to catch. Now, I didn't get to catch it a lot, sadly, but like every time I saw it on and I actually caught it, I was like, please let me in. I need to see this.
Yep. For me, they elevated each other. Anime elevated Kids WB by adding a new type of flavor to the network, because you have three different, I would say you have multiple tiers of shows. Like you have like a bunch of action cartoons, whether it's from DC Comics or like from other like companies. You have anime and you have comedy shows. So they had different niches. There's always going to be something for everybody. So anime helped elevate Kids WB's lineup with just adding a little more flavor. But Kids WB also elevated anime on the network because it was a great exposure for us to watch these shows. And especially if you're just seeing it for the first time or you've just been hearing word of mouth, you know where to find these shows. You know that these shows are what everyone's been talking about, like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Mega Man NT Warrior. Those to me were like the three pillars of anime on Kids WB. Like we had Card Captor Sakura, or just Card Captors, but the problem with that show, or at least the English dub of it at the time, was they were trying to make it feel like it's something when it's really not. Because they were capitalizing on the success of Pokemon, and they're like, oh, here's another anime. It's like Pokemon, but you have like these cards that you summon monsters, but it's not really like Pokemon. No, isn't it like just a magical girl anime? Because that's the way I've always seen Cardcaptor Sakura. And the dub was just weird.
Well, the dub was hiding so many taboos.
Not only that, but there were 70 episodes in Japan. Of those episodes, we only had about like 39 episodes brought over here. I think there were some other episodes that aired only in Canada, but not in the United States. They did redub the show, and it's much better than what we originally have. But the original opening was awesome. Like, Card Captors, a mystic adventure. Card Captors, a quest for all time. But I also have watched the Beautiful Joe anime on Kids WB.
It's pretty accurate.
Yes, I wish it lasted longer, but unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. There was also Astro Boy, which I watched it, but they canceled that very quickly because the ratings were very low. Because the problem is that Astro Boy, for so many years, had trouble trying to catch on in the United States. There are times where it's respected in a sense, but there are some generations that just tune out for whatever reason, which is a shame. It's really good. It was a really good show. It just didn't really hit the mark the way like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or even Mega Man NT Warrior did. But
yeah, it just never did. Like it was well beloved in the manga, but then they never got what they wanted for anime in here in the US. So yeah,
we did get Transformers Cybertron, but it was mainly just an import from Cartoon Network, and it didn't last that long. It was like the 2005, but it was really just a Cartoon Network import. But other than that, yeah. So my answer to that question is Kids WB elevated anime on the network, and anime elevated Kids WB as a block in terms of variety. So now, Matt, did you watch Pokemon on Kids WB first, or did you watch it through syndication before it aired on Kids WB?
Wait, syndication before? What do you mean?
Like, it would air like on a random like weekday, Monday through Fridays before.
I got you.
Before it aired on Kids WB proper.
Oh, so you're asking if I caught Pokemon on its very first episode or caught it later on? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I get what you mean now. I get what you mean. All right, then. Yeah, it's time to reveal my biggest secret I've ever held. This is like a Black Psylocke secret for your Phoenix Wright fans. I didn't catch Pokemon on its very first episode the Saturday morning of. I didn't really know about it quite at the time. Again, word of mouth, 998, you can only do so much. The first ever episode of Pokemon I ever watched was Ash getting his soul badge from Koga. And it was on a random, I want to say Tuesday morning, right before school at 7 a.m. And I just happened to watch the show. I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. And I'm like seeing these creatures fight. I'm like, okay, I'm a smart kid. I'm like, okay, grass creature because he fights the sister at the beginning with Bulbasaur versus Venonat. I'm like, oh, grass creature. There's this fire lizard fighting the bat too. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna check this out more. And then thankfully they repeated Pokemon so much that I was able to obviously piece the episodes together. I eventually did catch the first episode, Ash gets Pikachu, of course. And I'm a smart kid also. I'm able to piece the timeline together. Okay, the Pokemon Center is the second episode. Caterpie catching is the third. I'm able to. They repeated the show so much back in the day. You were able to catch up. So even though Ash versus Koga was my first episode, I was able to catch up, and it was gravy ever since. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, despite seeing Bulbasaur and Charmander first, Squirtle would eventually be, of course, my favorite starter in Gen 1. So funny.
What about you, Hito?
So, TLDR, I didn't watch it on Kids WB nor on the random channel. I got my first copy of Pokemon literally with the video cassette, with not only the video cassette of Ash catching all three starters on each episode, but I also got my Pokemon Red version at the same time. So, this was something that my parents were, specifically my mom was trying to push. She's like, I think he'll like this. And little did she know, not only did I like it, but I made a career out of it. So there you go. At least part of it. Part of the career is some of it. Digimon also took over too. We'll go over that later. That'll be the Fox episode. There we go.
That'll be the Fox episode, yes.
But I will say, that's how I actually got introduced to Pokemon, the video cassettes, because Mom used to buy me a whole bunch of a lot of fucking video cassettes all the time. We had a VCR, because we didn't have cable, because we had those black box cable boxes that weren't really cable, but was kind of cable, but wasn't really cable, and it just went out in third grade. So legitimately, sadness for a little bit. But before that happened, found Pokemon, on the channel. Now, mind you, even though Bulbasaur, all-time favorite starter, will always be my thing, and was the very first episode of Pokemon I ever saw, the first Pokemon I saw on air was on Kids WB without the video cassette, and the first episode was the gym battle between Ash and Erica. So, legit, this is why I also... it was kind of made for me to be a grass gym leader at this point, because it's like, wow, your first starter was Bulbasaur. That was the first episode you ever saw on video cassette, but then you finally see it on TV. Your first episode is watching Erica. Okay. And to this day, I still found the fucking plot of Erica's gym very stupid about, oh, Ash hates perfume. Okay, we're denying you from entering the gym. And I'm just like, you can't, like, physically in the rules, you can't do that.
Like, trying to find ways.
That's wild. Yeah.
I'm like, you can't do that. So that first time we also saw Ash in drag, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there was just the excuse to get Ash in a dress, bro.
I do remember that, yeah.
So even better, because, you know, Ash was looking kind of cunt that day, really good.
He was slaying.
That's one way. One way to say that.
He was working it, and then, you know, it didn't also help that he was teamed up with Jesse and James for this shit too. So just breaks into the whole entire thing, does the whole shit. Ash, Pikachu's like, "Is that Ash? Bitch, why are you wearing a dress for? Why are you wearing that wig? God, your edges are not snatched. What do? You know, I'm gonna zap the crap out of you, and now everyone knows who you are."
Yeah.
It was great though, and then the battle between Bulbasaur and Tangela was so bullshit. I was just like, God damn it. Okay, and then Charmander coming out of nowhere, beating the shit out of Weepinbell. I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. Gloom, you stink. Stop it, please.
Yeah.
And then I just want to make a comment on this. The fact that Meowth was like, oh my god, I can't smell. Oh my god, it stinks so bad. Just like, Meowth, you don't have a nose. He's like, wait, what happened to my nose? I swear it was right here in my face. Oh, that's right. The cartoonist never made me a nose. And I'm just like, and then he just sees these two knocked out on the floor. He's like, "Hey, what happened to you two?" Bam.
Yep.
I'm just like, oh, that's great. You broke the fourth wall. You gave me Ash and Drag. You gave me the Grass Gym Leader, which is one of my favorite gym leaders in the game. And then you gave me my first start. You set me up for not only liking grass type Pokemon, becoming a Grass Gym Leader, liking Drag, and also just finding fourth wall breaks very hilarious.
Yep.
So you gave me everything in that, and honestly, that's why I have to say, like, I saw Pokemon with video cassettes and the games themselves, but if I ever caught it first, I caught it first on Kids WB, and literally, that was the one, the Pokemon sensation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pokemon sensation.
Sensational.
What
But
about,
I'm not gonna lie. Erica's backstory for Gloom was actually pretty sweet, and to this day, I still like the song "Unconditional Love," the background music that goes before it. So it's like, okay, that actually calms me down. All good.
they also apparently in Pokemon Journeys they brought Erica back for an episode.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Korshal, what about you?
So I kind of already spoiled partially my answer in the question before and say that, like, in terms of the actual time period of Pokemon in the anime, I actually saw it on network was during the Ruby and Sapphire days. That's when I actually started seeing it on the network. But my first exposure to it was via a very select few of like the first season's VHS tapes. I recall them very vividly because one had like introduction to Brock and stuff, doing that,
Yeah.
like Brock and Misty episodes were there.
Second video.
The tape, this might have been part of that. I think this is part of the same group. That was the one with I gotta dig in the brain vault. I remember the basis of the episode is Ash and friends go to like this pseudo stadium where this guy's like heavily training his Sandshrew to be the very
this
best
guy.
Sandshrew ever.
For
And,
100 wins, yeah.
That's the third video cassette that contained Misty's gym battle with Ash, that episode specifically, and then the one with the School of Hard Knocks where they went to that really ritzy school
Yeah.
with all the people there, and Ash was actually turned on by a girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's that. There was that one, and the tape with the SS Ann stuff that followed into the Island of Giant Pokemon, and then the giant Tentacruel right after.
That's number 6.
Yep, those ones. I saw them to death because they were the ones I had in my home. So we would constantly watch them. And it wasn't until way later when I ran into like RSE era Pokemon on TV that I was able to start catching that. So like taking like Johto Journey stuff, I had no exposure to until I was older and I could find it elsewhere.
Yeah.
Which I think besides like once, because I knew the theme song, but that might be like internet osmosis. Because that theme song was amazing.
It's a whole new world we live in.
Exactly.
It's
So
a
yeah,
whole
I'd say
new
I
place
did
to
not
see.
catch it on WB. I was not aware of it really. I got it through tapes and DVDs like scattered that my parents occasionally picked up. And we didn't get enough, so I just watched the same ones like to death. And I will forever remember at least the SS and through the giant tentacle was the one I saw definitely the most. And that's like burned into my brain of those 4 episodes.
Yep.
Remember when they thought they were zombies after they literally found them in the freaking water?
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
Pikachu was just like, and then they were alive. Pikachu just snapping his fingers like, damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
That was so good with Pikachu.
Oh, God.
All right. What about you, Epic?
I honestly really don't recall much about my time with Pokemon at the very start. I only remember much with just on Cartoon Network the most because I am a big fan of Cartoon Network and I watch pretty much a lot of the shows on that channel.
Yeah.
But even then, I would swap between channels to look at cartoons, and I remember watching it on the kids WB sometimes to watch some episodes, and like because I have my parents have cable, and we had pretty much a lot of channels on the cable, and I always switch between which one I can watch. And I do remember seeing Kids WB being there with Pokemon, but I pretty much mostly watched it on Cartoon Network, like throughout the seasons, just from the beginning to, I want to say, Black and White. That's where I stopped watching Pokemon. But even then, I would I would continue watching just some movies of Pokemon and some of the specials and such. Even though I'm not a Pokemon guy, I never play much of the games. I pretty much watch the anime itself because I like watching them,
Yeah.
and I just liked watching them a lot when I was a kid. Watching Ash's journey, watching the tournaments, cheering him on, trying to hopefully see him win once, and that doesn't always come true until the very end. They did it, so like that was like my enjoyment of watching Pokemon from Cartoon Network. But even then, like I said, I watch on Kids WB sometimes. But yeah, I never got the chance to look at it first over there, but it really doesn't matter because it's just always everywhere. Pokemon is everywhere. Everyone loves Pokemon. I wish I would have gone into it when I was a kid, but I'm I just love the TV show. It's always amazing to watch.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So yeah, that's my.
So for me, I actually watched Pokemon through syndication, like was first run back in 1998. And the first episode that I remember watching was the tail end of the Pokemon Emergency episode, where the Pokemon Center of Viridian City, around that time was like Misty and Ash just bickering all because of the fact that Ash's Pikachu destroyed the bike, and she demanded Ash to get a new bike for her, which she ended up coming along with Ash on his journey. And it was, but what I remember watching it was like around the time where they were fighting Team Rocket. It was Team Rocket's first appearance. They came off looked very, very devious. They actually were very threatening at first, before we would see them for who they are later on. And for the first few episodes, keep in mind, James had a different voice. And the person who voiced them, I believe, voiced Tracy, as well as the announcer for like all those tournaments, as well as Pokemon Stadium, the announcer for that.
That had to be Ted Lewis then.
Yeah, that was Ted Lewis, and then he would later be replaced with Eric Stewart. Meowth actually had a different voice. I believe his voice actor was Nathan Price before changing it to Matty Blaustein. And whatever, and also shout outs to Matty Blaustein. I think that was the first time I've ever recognized her as a trans voice actress. May she rest in peace. But yeah, I do remember watching most of the episode of Ash catches a Pokemon. That's where he caught the Caterpie, and then he would later catch the Pidgeotto in that same episode. But what really hooked me was the fight against Team Rocket. And that was Ash's official first Pokemon battle he actually won. And then I just kept watching it, and then I was sad when after the March of the Executive Squad, they went back to Pokemon I Choose You. And for whatever reason, the first run, they skipped Pikachu's Goodbye. So after they finished the run, they aired Pikachu's Goodbye. But then there were three episodes that were skipped, but one of them aired much, much later in the Orange Islands. The other two never aired in the United States. One of which...
Wait a minute. Are you talking about the Beauty and the Beast episode?
Yes, that one.
That wasn't in the Orange Islands.
Yes, it was a lost episode. Like it
was the Porta Vista episode. It was the one before they did the Tentacruel attack one.
Yeah.
That was where it is on the timeline.
Yeah, but they aired it during Orange Island, since for whatever reason, like they just randomly aired it. They aired it once and they never aired it ever again, and it's yeah.
James with tits. That'll do it for you.
Yeah. Although I will say, if 4Kids would have commissioned I believe it was Shellshock Productions to edit one of the episodes, the one they probably would have edited would have been when they went to the Safari Zone, because we never got that episode. The one where Ash caught all those toros. Because remember, like later on, like when Ash was using the toros during the Orange League, people were like, when the fuck did he catch that toros? Like all those toros.
Actually, they even asked that question beforehand with the Poke Corral episode, because when he came back home from Pallet after getting all 8 badges, they're like, don't forget that you have like 30 Tauroses. I'm like, when the fuck did you get 30 Tauroses?
Yeah.
And you see them in the safari balls, like on this corner of the shit.
Actual green balls, yeah.
I'm like, when the fuck did he catch 30 Tauroses?
But yeah, like I watched all the episodes, and then like after March of the Executive Squad, where Ash's Charmander evolved to Charmeleon, and then I've also seen Pikachu's Goodbye. But after that, we had to wait a couple of months until it was like February of 1999 when the show started airing on Kids WB. And the first episode that they aired on that was The Problem with Paris, where that was where we start noticing that Ash's Charmeleon refused to obey Ash. That was the moment. Then like when he went to Charizard, it was a lot worse. Like Charizard screwed Ash over at the Pokemon League, and it took until like he got frozen by a Poliwrath to get humbled. But yeah, so I started with first run syndication, then I would pick up where I left off the moment that they started airing on Kids WB, and that's just my answer. So I did not watch it on Kids WB first, but I would watch it on Kids WB right as it aired. So I'm gonna start with Hito on this one. What are your favorite shows from Kids WB? Like up to 5 shows at most.
Gotcha. So in this order, I will do it as such because legitimately, holy shit. My first show is going to go towards Tiny Toons. So that's my number 5 because that was the first show I ever saw on Kids WB. Then I have to bring it up to Jackie Chan Adventures. I'm not counting the anime stuff, by the way. That's its own list. But legitimately, I'm doing Tiny Toons. It was Tiny Toons, Jackie Chan Adventures, Mucha Lucha, Static Shock, and then finally Shaolin Showdown.
All right.
Like when it comes to anime, that one's easy. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Yes, I have Yu-Gi-Oh over Pokemon. Oh, actually, no. Pokemon over Yu-Gi-Oh. So Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Beautiful Joe. Yes. Card Captors I liked over the other two because I actually saw the original before it even got aired. And then finally at the top of it all, Mega Man NT Warrior.
Excellent choices. Korshal, what about you?
So my like 5 in general, I would say. And I definitely have like good reasons in my brain for this, for a couple of them. Like, so not to speak of all the show's qualities, probably in the 5, especially as I'm older, I appreciate it. I know as a kid, like I liked it, but not compared to some other ones that come after that. I did really enjoy what I saw of Animaniacs, and it made me want to go more because it was like, it would always slip in so many different wild bits, and I was very much in tune to like the random sing-songness of things that would pop up and the very frantic energy of that show. And I was just like constantly mile a minute would always keep me entertained when I got to see it. I also favorite incarnation of Scooby-Doo. What's New Scooby-Doo came from this kind of stuff. So I remember that. And once again, the theme song, because like the early 2000s was like engineered to entrance. Oh, excuse me. I'm dying.
You're good.
Old.
But early 2000s was the era of weaponized theme songs. What's New Scooby-Doo was one of those successful things on me. My memories are almost carried by that song alone when I think about it. Once you start moving up a little more, the three that drove me crazy for toys. We've already had some mentions of all these. Mucha Lucha was one I very much loved to see. And like looking up an image again, seeing the cast of characters, it's all like had been coming back.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh yeah, there was all these really cool designs for everything. I remember as a kid, I like staked out waiting for my mom to come home one time. I was really hoping she was gonna get some toys of like the Flea from back then. I was just like, yeah, give me my guy, the Flea. And also on toy rights, we mentioned it too when Hito was saying that Zawin Showdown was another one. I had loved and abused a Jack Spicer toy. He was one of my that show was definitely, when I look at the evidence, helped seed the archetype in my mind that I like of my Weasley antagonists always scheming and like kind of being boy failures. And like it always was like, oh yeah, well of course I end up going to like a Waluigi like affection that I do now, because he's basically that same type of like sleazeball who really thinks he's hot stuff, but he can't always like do things correctly. Mm-hmm. And Jack Spicer was like my guy. I resonated with him the most out of like anyone out of that show. And when I had that toy, I also put him through so much abuse. He was getting thrown around. You're like, he fails in the show comedically and physically painfully all the time. So my action figure went quite through much the same level of abuse, getting thrown around, bonked into like tables, like violence upon this poor plastic figure. And
honestly,
like,
Jack Spicer was ridiculous.
I love him.
I remember Wuya just being his mother half the time. Like, you can't even tie your shoelaces right.
There's so much like out of anything. The phrase "Jackbox Annihilatify" will always be in my mind because of that guy. That's like, if you ask me, oh, what do you remember out of the show? Bam, that's the first phrase I think of.
Shout out to Cree Summer being Jack Spicer's actual mother, because Wuya was great at it. And legitimately like, you can't even match your socks right. I just have trouble with my reds and browns.
But then, so there's that. And then I talked about it. The show that got me tuned into making sure I caught more of the network was Mega Man NT Warrior, Net Warrior. I always wanted to pronounce it Net. It's probably officially NT, because I was like, that's my video game show. I tuned into 4Kids, like Fox stuff, because of the video game shows. So your hook into me is bam, here's the Mega Man. It's a shame we only got like half of the entire anime, because I know there's like 100-something episodes in total, but only, what was it, like the first two like arcs, seasons, whatever you want to call them,
NT
were the
Warrior
ones that brought over,
and NT Warrior Access.
Yeah, so it's like, as soon as I figured out there was like a whole half to the entire series I didn't catch, I was like, wait a second, why didn't we get all this? Like, you just confuse my younger mind once you have the power of the internet and go like, oh yeah, there's all this other stuff you didn't catch. I was just like, why would anybody turn this down? It's more Mega Man. They were crazy not to do more, obviously. I just look at it and be like, why not make more of the good thing to me? I want the good thing. And it's like, I guess there's a viewership and like toy sales and advertisements and all this boring adult logistics stuff to tell me why I was denied Mega Man. I was like, man, I could have used more, until I like stumble upon the Ruby Spears cartoons and DVDs years later. So yeah, those are the 5. Net Warriors on top, but Shaolin Showdown and Mucha Lucha are very affectionately underneath that, with What's New and Animaniacs there. I wish I saw Vita with Joe when it aired. I didn't get to discover it until I figured out like scenes were basically repurposed from the anime for Red Hot Rumble.
Oh yeah,
on like the GameCube, because I played that and I was like, who are all these people I don't know? And then I figured out it was an anime, and I was like, wait a second. And if I saw Pokemon on WB Kid stuff, it'd be there, obviously, but I never saw it there, so I can't put it on the list in good faith.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's fair. What about you, Epic?
For me, It's gonna be a little tough. I would say. I mean, it can go in between of which one is the first, the best, or whatever. I don't know if I would go in order, but I'll try. I guess the first one will be Animaniacs. The first, it's a it's a really funny show. I love all the humors and all the jokes. They would make fun of everyone and everything in the world just to make us laugh about it. It's such a unique show with so many different things they do with it. I love it. They did a great job with the characters. The animation was really well animated, of course, and like everything is just so good. It makes me laugh all the time, no matter what, young or old.
Hmm.
Um, the next would be uh, oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll say What's New Scooby Doo. I watched the original Scooby Doo back when it was airing in the. I believe yeah, it was in Boomerang. It was airing it. I watched it a lot on that channel,
Yeah.
and I love the new iteration, especially with the theme song being so catchy. I was singing it a lot back then, and I like the way they do with this iteration of Scooby Doo, where it's just basically trying to be a modernized version of it, where they try to do new things, and just the animation looks stellar. Even though I like the original a lot better, even though they're just old and stuff, I just like old animation stuff. But the modern ones are really, really good. They did with the colors, they make them pop, they make them look cool, and just everything's so good about it. Doing new mysteries and the characters, doing cool stuff. It's really nice. I love it. Then the next would be Mucha Lucha. Um, Mucha Lucha being a flash animation, which did not occur to me back then, but I knew it looked and felt different than the other show by the style with the characters, with their masks and their powers. Um, my favorite character would be the Flea because he is just so funny. He's just a bunch of garbage, just doing all these disgusting things with the characters and in the wrestling ring. It's just so funny and gross. But even then, I love him. He's so funny.
Yeah,
I
its
love
finishing
him.
move was unnamed and not even shown on camera when they're discovering their finishing moves. That's how
It,
visceral he
it
is.
was it's like so dark. Like they might have thought of it and be like, okay, we shouldn't be saying this to kids. Kids are just not gonna could think of that. But even then, I just still laugh at my ass off because I was like, I want to know what this is. What is it? What is this?
You have to tell me, Kids WB.
Please
The
tell
move,
me.
the move was called Stink Bomb. It was actually released in the little GBA game.
Oh my god, I have to play the GBA game to learn more
Oh.
lore about my childhood show. I gotta go. Hey guys, Scott here. I'm off to go buy a GBA
They wouldn't even let us know about it until they
game.
give
Bro,
us game
you
about
just
it.
blew my mind. It actually was revealed in the GBA. Okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, just
But
enjoy that.
even
Just enjoy
then,
that fact right there for a sec.
I will, thank you. You made my night again.
Abominable stink bomb. But yeah, fourth one would be Shaolin Showdown. That's my next one. It's like every episode is like there's always going to be a new challenge, and they had to figure out what to do in order to get up on the enemies and everyone. And of course, the relics they gotta um,
Shengon
the
Wu.
the Shingon Woos, they always have a unique spin on them. The Orb of Tsunami was like my favorite. I love how that worked, and it always makes me want I wanted one in real life because I just love water. It's just so cool looking. And like, what was the other one? I know I liked it was like the monkey staff or something.
Yeah, it's the monkey
Um,
staff.
yeah, that one was really cool too, with being a monkey and getting all the powers and such like that. Like I love just everything about this show, the character, and it makes it. They do like what's it called? A series of episodes where it's like it feels like a genuine story, like just making it feel like it's getting so serious that I wanted to tune in every day or every time they make a new episode. I'm just like I'm so hooked on it, because they made it sound so serious. And because I wasn't like thinking because it was like every episode felt like it's just a new day, for these characters to go and try to go do a challenge, you know. So like I love that, and they would do more serious stuff. It was really nice. I love the show. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fifth one, that's gonna be tough. I mean, like, there's a lot of these shows that could just put whichever I want, um, but I guess I'll just put it in for the sake of it. Try to look at the list here. I don't know. I guess I would just say, you know what? It would probably be anything Looney Tunes related. Like, there's a lot of the iterations of Looney Tunes they put in that they brought in. Even with Baby Looney Tunes, funny enough, because that show is literally just meant for babies or for little kids. But yet, I treat it as if it was just another iteration of Looney Tunes because it is just bonkers to me to say that having Looney Tune characters as babies, because they're basically characters. They just do funny stuff. They will hurt each other and just doing wacky stuff, and yet they're babies and they don't do that wacky stuff. They just like to make it so like, oh, we gotta learn lessons and be nice to each other and all that stuff. But they can still be themselves, sort of. They just minimize that just to make it so that kids would enjoy it. And like it is such a unique way of showing Looney Tunes in a way because I know they did this with other cartoons with making babyfy or kid versions of other cartoons like the pup named Scooby Doo, freaking Tom and Jerry Kids,
Yep.
and freaking. I mean, this. I don't know. I don't know if I would count this one, but even then, I didn't watch this back then because this was like a weird iteration. Was with Yogi Bear.
Oh, no. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. That's a
like
nightmare.
I said, I don't.
That's my child nightmare.
That's like I don't count it because obviously it is just a weird iteration of Yogi Bear because because they're trying to appeal to kids. They're trying to appeal to little kids to get into it, but yet it just doesn't hit because it makes no sense. It literally makes no sense to make them like hip with the 90s or 80s type of vibe, that kind of thing. But you know what? No. And I never watched it much because I only heard of it and never tuned into it because it just looks so stupid. But yeah, no, I would say any iteration of Looney Tunes, especially with Baby Looney Tunes, it would be my fifth. So yeah, that would be my top five for now.
Okay. That's a good list. What about you, Matt?
I'm going to keep my anime and Western cartoons together. I didn't watch enough of the anime side to make a top 5 list completely out of that, so I'm just going to keep them together. But the top 2 right off the bat are going to be the 2 animes, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, obviously, nothing to be said about Pokemon at this point, but yeah, classic anime, godlike IP. And we all got into it. It was fun. And of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! I realized why I like these 2 IPs so much. Well, one, they're good. They're even on the top highest grossing IPs of all time list, as I previously mentioned. But you can also play with them in real life. You can play with Pokemon toys and the actual video game in real life. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards were a real life thing you can duel with. I should have had my deck on me. Funny enough. A real life thing you can duel with and do the 2-figure draw and everything. The thing that helps is that now people joke in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like fans and anime outside watchers always joke, oh, they play the card game completely wrong. They didn't play it completely wrong. They still summoned monsters, did life point damage, and played Magic and Trap. It was close enough. But again, I realized how much I like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that I can do them outside of the TV show itself. And then the rest of my 3 are Western cartoons. My third place choice will go to What's New Scooby-Doo. I'm actually a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and jumping off of EpicMan's opinion, I do like Where Are You Scooby-Doo better. Or Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I said it backwards.
No.
But yeah, I love that shit. When I first got, believe it or not, Dish Network back in the day. I didn't start with cable. I actually started with satellite TV when it was brand new. When I got Dish Network back in the day, I just immediately I forget what channel they were replaying Scooby-Doo, Where Are You on, but I got into it. I can tell because I used to press the info button on Dish Network and cable TV. You know, they have the info button. They tell you about the show. I see the date. It's from 1969 and 1970. I'm like, whoa, this is my dad's era. My dad would tell me about it. I'm like, yeah, I watched this show when I was a late teen because my dad would be 16 or 17 at that point, but still, it was just fun cartoons back then. And he would tell me about it. I'm like, oh, cool, Dad. And then I got into it too. It still held up very well. People sometimes josh on Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but it held up very well. I'm like, oh, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Great. And then I'm like, and then they announced that in 2003, they're making new Mysteries of the Week. That's also what a genre I really like, solving a problem of the week scenarios. That's why I really got into Scooby-Doo. They catch a bad guy every week. And I'm like, new episode? They don't have to watch it can coexist side by side by the 1969 and 70s version. I mean, I would never stop liking them. Like, I like it, but I'm like, I get new 2003 content? Heck yeah. And the show was pretty damn good, for all things considered. My fourth place choice would go to Mucha Lucha. Again, as I previously got my mind blown. Yes, Mucha Lucha was fucking awesome. Everyone remembers Ricochet pulverizing pinball. Yeah, Hito?
Do you want me to blow your mind even further?
Okay, I'm ready to be blown.
So in the game, it's called the Stink Bomb, whatever. But in the actual show, it's also called the Trash Can of Terror.
Oh, there we go. See, I forgot that. I guess it was named, but the camera panned away. They killed it.
But then we can't forget the Blazing Turkey of Glory.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Blazing Turkey of Glory. But yeah, anyway, it was great. It was a great show. They were definitely capitalizing off of wrestling's still popularity in 2003. Like, wrestling was huge in the 90s. Again, even as a wrestling normie like myself who never got into it, as an outside watch, I'm like, yeah, it was clearly still big. And even better yet, it was Hispanic and Mexican wrestling representation. That was phenomenal.
Yep.
That was great. We were all happy. We were like, yay, cultural representation of various things. Yay, I love this stuff. Let's all enjoy it together. And then it was a good ass show. It was funny, had good voice actors, etc. And yeah, that was fun. That was my goofball show I got into. My fifth show, actually, I'll go to bat for this show. I will fully admit that Mega Man NT Warrior and Shell and Showdown are definitely better shows than this one, but I guess my schedule of watching Foxbox and Kids WB, like the micromanaging time we talked about, led me to not watch those shows as much. I mean, I like Mega Man, I like Shell and Showdown. I watch it enough. I should go back and rewatch Shell and Showdown for memory's sake. But I actually went for bat for Ozzy and Drix. It probably just came on a time that I was on Foxbox and back and forth. So Ozzy and Drix was actually I really tuned into a lot. Probably for a few reasons. One, Osmosis Jones, pretty good movie, pretty interesting movie. You know, Bowser's inside story, or human inside story, I should say, at the time. and of course, they didn't keep Frank in the show. In the first episode, Ozzy and Drix get transported, I think airborne, if I remember correctly, to a young kid. And here's the other scenario. It's Ozzy and Drix fight a germ of the week every week for in the kid, which is great. I'm like, saying you saw me previously, I said I like episode of the week scenarios. Like, give me a 30-minute problem to come into, see, solve, and experience the finale for. Either catching a bad guy or killing a germ. There we go. I think what also propelled the show for me was, I'm not caveman brain, but see, this was also the age of importing like kind of eye-jarring CG into shows, and Drix was all like CG with his pill-shaped body bringing it around town. I'm not caveman brain, but like, what? Drix 3D they can only do on the movie. How are they doing that on my Saturday morning kids show? Unk, ook, unk.
Unk, ook?
Caveman brain.
What the heck are you making these terms up already?
I guess they had like the budget to make it work.
They had the budget to make his like again, that was the era of interesting off-base CG. It worked enough. I will give the show credit though. They did tackle one interesting subject. They did a smoking episode, and I remember this episode very clearly because it was I noticed at the time how they did. Again, I was a very media literate. I knew what networks can get away with and what they couldn't. There was an episode where the kid actually, I forget the kid's name, but he smoked and got nicotine in his body. But they didn't actually show the, funny enough, I'm at candy cigarettes right on me. They didn't show the smoking on screen. Now, I think in the episode, he was like tempted by like greaser jacket wearing, you know, tough guys that are older than him in the school, you know, classic school scenario. And they hand him the pack. Yeah. And they hand him a pack of cigarettes. And you don't actually see him puff it with his lips, but the scene fades and he's walking up the stairs to his house and he starts coughing. So he did it. They didn't show it on screen. They didn't animate it on screen, but he did it, and he had nicotine in his body. And Ozzy and Drix fight, and that's a good like don't do smoke kids episode. Even better yet, they really tried to hide the fact that he puffs a cigarette because, as I previously mentioned, that Dish Network info button that tells you about the episode, they didn't even say the kid puffs a cigarette. He said the kid Ozzy and Drix fight a nicotine bad guy in a kid after he does an experiment with cigarettes. They tried to hide the fact of puff and smoke very badly. Like this is probably something they had to get away with on the network. Like they couldn't like show it and describe it in the Dish Network info button. That's how much they really had to like side eye this alarming fact that a young middle
Yeah.
school student actually smoked a cigarette. But anyway, good non-smoking episode. Don't do drugs. Do candy cigarettes. That's my top 5.
As if that's not gonna make any worse and better for people to think that you're smoking.
Yeah,
Candy.
like
Put the cigarette down. It's candy. Put it down
I mean-
anyway.
I mean, Sugar Rush is pretty bad too.
That is also true.
Oh yeah, the eye
don't do
twitching.
too much sugar.
Lanalai is right. Yeah, the eye twitching. I forgot about that. Thanks
Yep.
for the reminder.
Yeah, they had the eye twitching thing, so that's how they actually were communicative back then. So I did watch that show as well. It's not it's not my favorite, but I enjoyed the show for what it was. So here's my top 5. And there were some very good shows. There was a lot of good shows on Kids WB back in the day. Like even when it started, where it was just mainly comedy shows, and even like later on when they added anime, there was a lot more action shows, DC Comics and whatnot. They had it all. They had it all. But for me, let's do some. I'm gonna do some honorable mentions first before I do my top 5. Like Ozzy and Drix is one of my honorable mentions, as well as Mucha Lucha. I love Mucha Lucha. I think it's a fantastic show. It's so much fun just seeing, like, especially someone like me who loves professional wrestling. I was really into the show, but it's just that the only reason it's not in my top 5 is because like my top 5 shows I like more than Mucha Lucha itself. But
There's a lot of bangers. I don't blame you.
But I do think that the characters are very zany. I do like the action, the comedy. It was fun. It's meant to be like, after watching a very serious show, like it's a nice breather just to watch it before whatever's on next. Just to make you feel a little good. I am also a huge fan of I'm also a huge fan of Card Captors. Yes, I know the dub is not great. Yes, I know. But even back then, I still loved it, because here's the thing. The animation, like the quality of the animation was so much better than what Pokemon had at the time. Like, man, it's probably the art style, because I know I believe it was Clamp.
Yep.
So that art style really appealed to me. Like I just felt like it was like, and I remember we didn't even get all the episodes. Like they ended its run, and they never even aired the finale here. I think they aired the finale in Canada, but I don't think they aired the finale here, because there were some episodes that aired in Canada that did not air in the United States.
Fun fact. So the reason why you only saw half of the episodes, that was all of season 1. Season 2 has to deal with Sakura overtaking the cards and naming them as her own, not under Clow Reed.
Yeah.
So they ended on season 1 when she just gets all the cards, but they don't do it when she actually claims the cards as her own name.
They did redub the series. I believe it was Viz Media that redubbed the series, and from what I've seen, it's definitely better. The only thing that it's missing is the awesome theme song that we actually did get back in the day. But other than that, it's better.
Thank you, Nelvana. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Which I'm still not sure if Nelvana is even dead or alive. Like I hear mixed things, but anyway. But talking about Nelvana is another conversation for another day. But one other honorable mention that I want to bring up, because I will say this though, I absolutely enjoyed the Men in Black cartoon, especially after watching the movie in 1997, and then you had the show that just followed it up. It was entertaining, like just seeing like different aliens each week. My favorite character is that pug. Like you see that little pug who feels like the mascot for Agent J and Agent K. I just could not get enough of that show back then, and it had 4 seasons, pretty solid run for what it was. Like I believe they got the 52 episodes, because usually 52 episodes, like once you hit 52 episodes, there's a very good chance the show would end, and then so that's more than enough for reruns. And it was awesome. I liked it a lot. So I had to think about my top 5, and there's going to be 3 shows that, like, there's 3 shows that have already been talked about that are on there, but then there's 2 that actually have not been talked about that I'm going to be bringing up. So number 5 for me is going to be number 5 for me is going to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Yes, number 5, but it's a really good show, and I think the best seasons of Yu-Gi-Oh! Were when they went to Battle City, and then you had the Enter the Shadow Realm, which in reality it was not even supposed to be the Shadow Realm. It's just a funny way of saying you're going to hell. You're going to hell.
You're going to hell.
You just die.
Yeah.
If the series,
don't worry, guys. They're sleeping. You're sleeping. Shh.
it's like if the series would have just ended after the Shadow Realm, and then Yugi and the rest of the gang went back to Battle City to defeat Marek. If it would have ended there, I'd say it would have been perfect. But
they couldn't.
But they kept going, and the arc that they did, I believe the card was the Seal of Orichalcos.
That's the Waking the Dragons arc.
That was actually when I started tuning out. I lost interest, and also the fact that they also recasted My Valentine because her voice actress left 4 kids. And I was a huge fan of My Valentine, and I felt that I think the reason why I did not really like this arc is because they brainwashed her into making her think that
No. They didn't brainwash her. They just used what she was feeling against her. Essentially, she was feeling like
resentment.
She was feeling resentment. That's all it was. They kind of didn't. They didn't brainwash her. They didn't like mind control her and shit. It was just essentially like, oh yeah, and where are your friends at, huh? And they kind of just used that to fuck with her insecurities to the point where she literally just like, okay, you know what? I got to make a move myself. Fine, I get it.
But yeah, but I didn't like that, and I didn't like where they were going with all this. Plus, also, why would you bring Maximilian Pegasus back? Wasn't he supposed to be dead?
Yes, because Bakura in the actual manga plucks his eye out for the freaking Millennium Eye.
No. Although I will say that in the first season, I did like the fact that Bandit Keith held an invisible gun.
So did the
guards.
Thank you. I was about to say, because remember they were going after Kaiba and they're like, we mean business with you. And I'm just like, what is this?
I
wants to be a kid again.
It's like in the Japanese version, Kaiba was.
They actually have guns.
In the Japanese version, Kaiba was actually more open to like all the Egyptian stuff and all the myths and whatnot. But outside of Japan, when they localized it, Kaiba was a non-believer. Like, he did not believe in any, despite the fact that his ancestors were actually within that time, he didn't believe any of that. The only thing he cared about was himself and his little brother Mokuba.
I mean, that's life, though, to be fair. He earned his riches.
There's full improvement on the character, if we're being honest.
Like, this was a character that was way past maturity at this point, let's face it. He literally came from an orphanage all the way to literally owning a multi-millionaire freaking corporation. He lived 2 high school years and legitimately he skipped college in high school. And to make matters worse, I'm gonna say this right now because you said that the rest of the seasons were kind of like where you fall off. The funny thing is, Waking the Dragons and that World Tournament arc, those are filler, but the last part, Enter the Dawn, that's actually the ending of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the manga.
That's the actual manga and yeah. They just had to buy for time. That's all.
The one thing I always say is that
they always do.
I'm always reminded to when I watch the very first episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged series, and the one thing that will always stand out to me is, "Hi, I'm Seto Kaiba. I sound like Brock from Pokemon."
Yeah.
because it was Eric Stewart voicing Brock in the Pokemon anime, and he also voiced Kaiba. Though I will say, in my personal opinion, I think he was better as Kaiba than he was as Brock. That's my opinion.
For real. The lines he used to pull off on Kaiba and get away with it. He's like, Mokuba. He's like, make sure that all of you are going to the registration. Mokuba, make sure Joey Wheeler's late.
Yeah.
Make sure Wheeler's late.
I was watching a clip of like a Yu-Gi-Oh movie where they brought back the original characters, and Eric Stewart.
Yeah, Dark Side Dimensions. Yeah,
his performance was top notch. Like he was.
They still got it.
He was not only that he still. Actually, I would argue he never actually lost it. Like he was at his best.
Yeah,
like the line, "You dare fight me with fruits?"
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's also another true ending of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they decided to continue it a little longer for one last hurrah, which is a good movie. It's a good movie.
Yeah. It's like if that was like his final performance as Kaiba, I figured that he knew he had to go all out for that one. That was his best. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Is number 5 for me. Number 4 is Mega Man NT Warrior. I enjoyed the show a whole bunch. I loved it. I watched most of Access. I didn't watch all of it because the problem is that they keep taking it off every now and then they just cancel the show. And I kind of missed rewatching Access. I was watching the NT Warrior because like a couple years ago when the Battle Network Legacy Collection came out, for a limited time you were able to rewatch these episodes on YouTube and Twitch. Like Twitch was streaming them as well. And it was really cool. Because they use the same voice acting team as a Cartoon Network anime Zoids. Because it was the same production company, Chicago Productions. They did the Zoids anime. They also did Mega Man NT Warrior. So the fact that they had Lan sounding a lot older than he should was pretty funny to me. Because he actually had a different voice actor for a few episodes before they recasted him for the rest of the series. Just watching all these characters, and this was like before I even actually played any of the games, like seeing like Lan, Dex, Male, who was known as Melu, Yai, and then
that
also
forehead,
and then you also had Chod, but I kind of felt like they made Chod like more of an asshole here in at least the first couple of episodes than they did in like the first like 2 games. Like he wasn't really an asshole in the games. He was just strict. He was just focused on what he needed to do. He didn't really like Lan that much.
So an asshole.
but he wasn't being an asshole. Like he was being straight to Lan in the games, but in the show he was an asshole for a while. But I liked it just having and the thing is that when I said that Lan sounded a lot older, so did Mega Man. And Mega Man sounded a lot more older than he was supposed to. When you watch the Japanese version, his voice is actually higher pitched. But I enjoyed the show, despite the fact that at the time I was trying to get into the games, and I didn't get into the games until much, much later. Like it took me until the collection to get into the games, but I wish they would have continued the NT Warrior series, that they would have brought over the rest. Even if Kids WB didn't want to air the show anymore, they could have continued the show on Cartoon Network. They could have. They should have. But it's still great. I still recommend it. So that's number 4 for me. Number 3 is going to be Static Shock. I think Static Shock was well made as a show, and having a brand new superhero, like an African American superhero who has these powers, like the Bang Baby powers, where he has like electricity, and having to deal with all these struggles growing up as a kid, like in especially growing up as a black kid who dealt with racism. Like there was a racist episode where his best friend Richie, his father was a racist. And then there was also an episode where there was a troubled kid who was getting bullied so much, and then when he couldn't take it anymore, he was a loner because he had trouble trying to make friends. And then this bully would not leave him alone, and then he invited Virgil and Richie over to his place, and then he showed his gun. Because it was the infamous episode where he had the gun, and then he wanted to use it just to shoot at that bully, but then he shot it, and it's hit Richie instead.
The leg.
Thankfully,
right in the leg.
Yeah, and also that kid, the troubled kid, he was voiced by voice actor Richard Steven Horvitz. Invader Zim, Billy from Billy Mandy.
Wow.
That was him. Yeah. Because I knew that was him because like when he was crying, it kind of sounded like Billy crying. And
I should go back and rewatch that episode then. I never realized.
It's one of the very few episodes that, because they had a bunch of serious topics in this. Like another one was a holiday episode where there was this Bang Baby who dealt with a lot of child abandonment growing up. She had these ice powers. Permafrost, yeah. She dealt with a lot of abandonment. Like nobody really wanted anything to do with her. And Static, instead of fighting her, like she just talked and tried his best to understand her where she was coming from. And the main reason he can relate to a lot of issues that people had is the fact that he lost his mother when he was a kid due to gun violence. And speaking of his mother, there was an episode where he actually traveled through time, like to around the time where his mother was actually going to get shot because of gun violence. He wanted to try to save his mother, and at first he did, or at least he thought he did, but nope. His mother still shared the same fate that she already had. The difference was that his mother actually met Static. And then like you would see so many different things. Like one other episode that I could bring up was there was this guy who was kind of an antagonist but later became an ally. He was Rubber Band Man. There was an episode where we found out that he was dyslexic. He could not read, and Static motivated him to not use that as a weakness. So many different serious topics within this show, but it was still fun. And he also even got episodes where he teamed up with Batman, he teamed up with Superman, the Justice League, Green Lantern, especially like Green Lantern, where there was actually a Green Lantern impersonator who was trying to act like a drunk Green Lantern to ruin his reputation, but it was really Sinestro. I thought that was a good episode. And they even crossed over with Batman Beyond. Overall, Static Shock was a lot of fun. It was awesome. And I think it's worth watching and worth rewatching. And if you have Tubi, you can watch it on there because there's a bunch of Kids WB shows that are on there. Static Shock is included. So number 2 for me is going to be after thinking about it, because also I'm gonna put Shaolin Showdown in my honorable mentions. Another great show that I enjoyed. But number 2 for me is going to be Jackie Chan Adventures. I had a blast watching that show, where you had Jackie Chan and then his niece Jade. Though usually he does not really want Jade to join in any of his adventures, but later on he kind of allowed her to get away with that. I've always
he did it.
Well, for sometimes, not all the time, sometimes. I also love Uncle. Uncle's my favorite character in that show Like one
Old man goals.
one more thing. You do not mess with Uncle. and when he always does this and hits Jackie in the face.
Yeah.
One more thing.
I loved all that. And then there was like this character, Toru, who was originally one of the antagonists, but at the end of the first season, he ended up joining Jackie and the rest of the crew, and he became Uncle's apprentice for the rest of the series. I thought that was pretty cool. And another thing I remember was they actually had, I forgot what was his name, but he was like this luchador that came in, and he was also part of
El Toro.
Thank you. He was like, they ended up making the J team. They had everybody there. Because I think it was Jade that created the J team.
She did.
Yeah. But there was also this antagonist because like Valmont was the main one for like the first 2 seasons. And then there was also this character named Hawk Fu, who at first he was voiced by Jim Cummings in the first season, but then when he was brought back in the second season, it was John DiMaggio, who is Bender from Futurama and Jake the Dog. But Hawk Fu was there as the replacement for Toru, since Toru practically turned his back on Valmont and went to Jackie and his crew. And I just loved everything about this show. The only regret is I didn't really watch much of the final season. And one of the reasons why I didn't watch much of the final season is because they kept changing the time slot. And because it normally had the same time slot, and then they just kept changing it. And I missed it. But apparently it actually had an ending. I gotta go and rewatch the show. It's been a while since I've seen it. But it actually had an ending.
It's a really good ending.
But I did watch most of the show, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. So that's my number 2. And number 1's Pokemon. Number 1's Pokemon for me. Though, actually it's a tie. It's Pokemon and Batman Beyond. I love both shows. Pokemon defined me as a person for so many different reasons, and I loved the show. Granted, there was a time where I kind of tuned out of it, and that was around the second season of the Advanced Generation. But I watched pretty much everything from the Indigo Leagues to the Orange Leagues and the entirety of the Johto Leagues and part of the advanced seasons, and then I just tuned out. But the Johto seasons as well as the Kanto seasons were like the absolute peak Pokemon for me when I was watching, and Orange Islands. Like I just watched a lot of that. And you can watch all those episodes on YouTube and Netflix. And I just could not get enough of Pokemon. Like Pokemania actually really hit me really hard in a sense where I was locked in. And Batman Beyond was a very interesting take on Batman having like a new character be Batman because Bruce Wayne was way too old to be Batman. He couldn't do it anymore. So you have Terry McGinnis as the new Batman, and I thought the animation was great. I love how unique it was in comparison to like what the other DC shows were. Where DC, like, they were just building up on the DC animated universe. This one was just doing it, like, it was part of it, but it was also doing its own thing. And I loved all the action. I love how, because it was a lot edgier in comparison, considering this was like in early 1999 when it started. Because they wanted, it's like they wanted to give Batman a little bit more of an edge, and I felt it worked. I felt that it got canceled way too soon. I felt that they could have actually done a couple like 1, maybe 2 more seasons, because I felt that there was still room for where they can go next. They did, however, make a finale movie, like the Return of the Joker, So at least they made like an ending for that. Although they did do other crossovers, like I mentioned the Shellshock, but they also did a crossover with Justice League, in Justice League Unlimited. Just having to see both old Bruce and Batman together, like the modern day Batman at that time, just hearing both, like Kevin Conroy voiced both characters at the same time was funny. But yeah, great show. Batman Beyond is fantastic. I do need to rewatch it because it's been a long time since I watched it. But I will say this though, shout outs to the show Hysteria, having that big fat baby and having all those characters who time travel. And then there was that old woman who has lived for hundreds of years. It's like that show kind of felt like a fever dream, even though all it was just a show, like it was like a parody of education. But I enjoyed it. But yeah, those are my top 5, and the fact that I decided to have a tie with that was pretty wild. So next question, I'll ask Korshal this one. When did you start tuning out from Kids WB? Like when you started losing interest?
So for me, really my drifting out of like the like public channel like cartoon blocks really was around the same time the rest of like I keep coming back to this, but it really did have a really big like influence on me. It really was like the stopping of like the Fox box was like one thing, like stopping Kirby, Sonic, and like TMNT being really aired on those channels for me. So it would have been, if I remember right, what, 2004, 2005-ish,
Yeah.
when I realized those shows stopped being on their networks as like stuff was rebranded and like they changed the programming lineup, licenses changed, stuff like that. That really was what like made me stop wanting to go to those channels in particular compared to like that cable package trifecta of Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and Toon Disney. Because I was always like, those are my 3.
Yeah.
Those are like my spot I always camped out at. Like if something wasn't on that I liked in one, it was just a channel away. I just go up or down. But on the Saturday, you're like, all right, let's go down because I don't want to miss Kirby. Like I don't want to miss the Mega Man stuff that I know is here. So when that started getting plucked away and you realize there's more of the overlap with some of the like programming between Cartoon Network, and then we talked about it a bit, but you're like, oh, this is the same type of stuff I already can get on like Cartoon Network and its related times. Then why do I have to try to like mash the down channel button to rotate through all my channels to get down to this in the morning? I'll just stick around on like the main 3.
Yeah.
So like once the hooks on me and my video game interests really went away in like that 2005, 2006 period, that's when I stopped going down to like WB and Fox to try to catch stuff. So I would say about then for me.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Epic?
It's kind of a complicated thing to say because I really never stopped watching it. But the thing is, like I said before, my answer with when did I start? When did I start for Pokemon? Like I watched pretty much throughout the years before it changed itself to the CW for kids kind of thing, and that's where I guess I would say that's where I stopped because it felt weird for that to just be CW like that because I really don't watch CW at all.
Yeah.
I know the shows that they aired in there, like The Flash, and that's pretty much it what I remember from that channel. But no, like it's like when they took away from the stuff where they stopped when they stopped the channel from doing any more shows, I just tuned out and just go back to just watching Cartoon Network pretty much when they keep airing new Cartoon Network stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like I feel like that's probably where it ended for me because they changed. It didn't feel like it is for me. They could put whatever they want in there. And so I didn't really feel like the need to stay in that channel anymore. any longer. So, and I just, usually just go and look for more other channels where they show cartoons and whatever else they do. So yeah, I think that would be like that for me. But I still watch cartoons afterwards. I never gave up on watching them because they always been just a joy to watch. My fun entertainment wise of watching of cartoons to look for new stories and new jokes and new anything with what they do with the characters and be interested in them.
Hmm.
It's never going to stop me from watching anymore. And even though they would change and not do what they usually do and just, get away from all of that years later on, it's sad to see the demise of the channel to become different than they were before that kids always come to watch. Um,
Yeah.
I appreciate for all the things they've done. I really do. I really love that no matter what they do back then, they always want to get more kids and more people to get their eyes on for the channel with whatever cartoons they got. And it never stops being fun to watch it in the morning, the afternoon, or wherever what time they do for the kids WB. It's always nice to see such new shows and old shows coming together and watch it and have fun with it.
All right.
So yeah, that's my answer.
All right. That's a good answer. What about you, Matt?
According to this information right in front of me, I'll tell you the exact date: September 2nd, 2006. Apparently, according to this article, that's the final episode of Yu-Gi-Oh!, the first animated series, where after the part 4 of Yugi beating Atem the Pharaoh and sets his soul free, and the show ends. That's probably the last day I ever watched 4Kids because, well, one, Yu-Gi-Oh! The first series already ended. And even then, we already knew as Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans that GX was already premiering on Cartoon Network, so we already had to get used to another channel hosting Yu-Gi-Oh! The next generation.
Yeah, I was there.
So, yeah, so Ozzy and Drix ended, again, my previous top 4 mentioned shows, along with the 5th one. Ozzy and Drix ended in 2004. Mucha Lucha and What's New Scooby-Doo ended in 2005. And Pokemon, I think, definitely already moved over to Cartoon Network at that point. And even then, I was half tuning out of Ho, and no hate towards it. It was just, I'm just older. I was about to enter 10th grade. Like September 2nd, 2006, I was about to enter 10th grade. I was 15.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, again, no hate towards Kid W. Kid W airs final episode of Yugi vs. Atem. I'm like, okay, bye. Bye. Play Scott the Waz outro. Bye. And then I walk off.
Yep.
And that's it.
All right. What about you, Hito?
I kind of stopped while Foxbox was like at its prime because at that point in time, I was falling off. I had video cassettes. I would usually have all the episodes already ready, but then I also did the smart thing and kind of jimmied my other television to kind of record the stuff that I missed, and then I just watched the other stuff instead. So Foxbox I would physically watch, but then I would record the stuff from Kids WB and then watch it later. So I would have both technically on my disposal, but I stopped after Foxbox was getting popular because my favorite anime of all time, Shaman King, came out, and to this day, that was kind of one of the things that happened. Shaman King happened. Kirby Right Back at You happened. Sonic X happened. One Piece with the shitty fucking opening happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bro. Just wait till the Foxbox episode. We'll have fun on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, no. Oh, God, no. Oh, man. But I still watched Challenge Showdown. I still watched Jackie Chan Adventures. I still watched Mucha Lucha, especially when they had the Gigante series. And then I watched it to the point where we had Coconut Fred and Johnny Test and Da Boom Crew.
Oh, God, the Boom Crew.
Oh, Coconut.
Oh, and Lunatics Unleashed. Hold the frick on. I have a rant.
I have a rant too, but I'm going to wait until it's my turn.
Nah. Let's go over this for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
Y'all decided to make a futuristic hero team like edgy bullshit, like fucking Cyberpunk, with Looney Tune characters. Ace Bunny, Lexi Bunny, fucking Danger Duck, Regenerating fucking Coyote, Red Runner, and fucking the tsunami fucking Tasmanian devil bullshit.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? And then you realize, oh wait, these characters are just past villains in any type of freaking Looney Tunes thing. It's just futuristic and fucking edgy.
It makes no fucking sense. The fact that they decided to just go a completely dark route. I get wanting to try something new with Looney Tunes. This wasn't the way to go. And you wonder what was the original name they were going to go with for Ace Bunny. They were originally going to call him Buzz Bunny before giving him Ace Bunny.
Which, can we also talk about the fact that Tweety's canonically in that Tweety's a prince?
Yes.
Tweety's a fucking prince of a huge civilization. I'm like, wait, no fucking way. I'm like, actually, no, that makes sense. It's Tweety. But still, I was liking now, mind you, watching it now as an older person, because I re-saw the series, I'm like, okay, I see what they tried to do. As a kid, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, and what did they do to Looney Tunes?
It was stupid. I did not like what they were doing at the time.
But then, watching it as an adult, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing all of the Easter eggs here. This is actually pretty, like, I guess how I put it, my younger mind couldn't tolerate it, but my older mind going back to it just to see what it was about, I'm like, I see what they did. I respect it. I actually respect it, by the way. Because the show was not going to be picked up by children.
Mm-hmm.
It was not going to stimulate the mind of a child. It was going to stimulate probably a teenager who grew up with Looney Tunes and then sees them in this shit and like, oh shit, I know who that is. Holy shit. Like, that's what it is. And this is the same effect that a lot of people who didn't watch the first Mario movie or the second Mario movie, who were not in the fucking loop about Mario and shit like that, where they were like, ew, what's this movie about? It's so fucking stupid. Meanwhile, the real fans that grew up with Mario enjoy it. Because guess what? That's their fucking childhood. So if I was to say anything, I would say Lunatics is in that same category of like, okay, we're trying to make it edgy and it look cool and all that other stuff. Fantastic. Problem is, it didn't have enough you're marketing this to newer generation kids, where kids are going to be like, I don't get it. And that's kind of where Lunatics fell off. Because you're trying to bring this forward towards kids that don't know shit about Looney Tunes.
It would have honestly have been a lot smarter if they would have moved it to Cartoon Network, and it would have aired like, well, not a Toonami, but remember Magoozy?
Yeah,
that's where they should have aired it at.
With a capital Goo.
Yeah, because
here's
it's meant for older kids. Then,
but they couldn't do that either because they tried that originally and that didn't go as planned. That was the other issue. And also, can we just like knock in Teen Titans? Like, legitimately, that was chef's kiss.
Teen Titans was amazing.
And that's all I said, because not one of us mentioned Teen Titans or even put it on our top list. And I just remembered I should have gotten rid of one of my choices, which was my 5. So Teen Titans will go there.
I would have like thought about it. Oh, sorry, I was gonna say I always saw it on Cartoon Network more than WB. So that's why I was like, oh, I don't know.
That's true.
Claim that one.
Oh no, I can claim that one. You want to know why? Because I originally saw it on Kids WB. Because guess what? I had no fucking cable. I had no cable, so what was I gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. And the main thing also is that if I have to figure out where I would place it, I'm just gonna make it a 3-way tie with Pokemon and Batman Beyond. So Teen Titans is up there for me. But
that's all I gotta say. Like, I think those are some of the moves that they should have made when it came down to it. It's a shame that that's when it fell off for me, is when Foxbox started getting good. Because again, no cable. Foxbox was a thing. And then, unfortunately, I also had to go over PBS Kids every now and then. So that was a day.
Mm-hmm.
The day that I would get so bored and I'll be looking at freaking the big comfy couch and losing my shit. And then I'm just like watching Lunette busting it on the fucking clock rock, on the clock rock, and just popping it all over the place. That was how it went. Was that not? That's what happens. She was on the rug doing this. Come on, you saw her stretching and shit.
Wow. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The clock stretch.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got
I
you.
understand.
But my point is, at the end of the day, like those were the times where it was like, what happened? And then also, let's not forget, WB Kids had 3 Batman series: the animated series, Beyond, and The Batman.
The Batman, yes.
Which was also, honestly, my greatest take on the Joker, because honestly, the lunatic deserves to be in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks as crazy as he acts. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, basically, I had a rant that I was ready to go with for Lunatics Unleashed, but you pretty much already hit the nail on the head. So,
Yeah, but mind you, that's the thing. I don't hate Lunatics. The thing is, Lunatics was meant for an older audience, not for kids WB.
yeah, and even then, I feel like they kind of messed it up. But when did I slowly start tuning out from kids WB? 2004 was when I was starting to slowly tune out. I wasn't really impressed with the Batman at first, but I've later come to regret not watching it because everyone I know who watched it kept telling me it was really good. But around that time in 2004, we had the final season of Jackie Chan Adventures. We had Pokemon was in the Advanced Challenge. Yu-Gi-Oh was doing the what was the dragon? The Ancient Dragon arc?
Waking the Dragons, yes. Waking the Dragons.
That one. X-Men Evolution. How did I not mention X-Men Evolution? Because I love that show. But by then it was already gone. They did not get renewed for another season. Around that time we had the Boom Crew, but that only had 4 episodes, and then they just pulled it from the network.
Because it was so fucking dumb. They were trying to make another show that was inclusive, but it was, I'm going to be honest with you, it was very out of touch and very, it was white creators also made it too, which didn't make it better. So it was like the guy picking up street slang and let's put da Boom Crew instead of putting we're going to put da Boom Crew. And I'm like, stop all of it, please.
Yeah.
No. None of that. Just bad.
We had a very solid
appropriating.
we had a very solid Astro Boy TV series, but unfortunately it didn't last long against WB. I thought it was pretty good, but they didn't really have faith in it and it didn't catch on. I remember that they also aired they were airing Cartoon Network shows, they aired Powerpuff Girls, they aired Codename Kids Next Door, and they would later air Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But I also remember they were still airing What's New Scooby-Doo, but they ended Ozzy and Drix around this time. What else? Mucha Lucha was on its final season. Static Shock ended its run. Let's see. Looking at everything in general, I was just tuning out, and then plus, not to mention the fact that this is another thing, more of a personal thing. I was focusing more on going to Pokemon trading card game tournaments, and there were some times where there were some big Saturday tournaments. My brother and I would just travel because we had to get up early just to go and participate in Pokemon TCG tournaments. So there were times where I was just missing out on watching Saturday morning cartoons, especially Kids WB around this time. So 2004, I wasn't watching as much because of it. And also my interests were moving elsewhere. I was pivoting to other things. So I wasn't watching as much, but the moment I just completely stopped watching was in 2006. I remember reading a press release. It was around the time where it was no longer going to be the WB, but rather the CW. And they talked about how they were still going to have Kids WB, but you weren't going to get Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Beautiful Joe anymore. Instead, we were going to get shows like Like we already had Johnny Test and we already had Lunatics Unleashed, but we were getting Tom and Jerry Tales, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, Legion of Superheroes. We also got I don't even know what the hell this is. Spider Riders.
Yeah, that lost on me.
I heard of it. I don't know.
And
Listen, I'm arachnophobic. I think a majority of the kids are arachnophobic. Why did you think this was a good idea?
And there was a show called Monster Allergy that aired on the network, but they only aired one season of it here, and then like it got canceled. But I think it was like a French Canadian cartoon that just aired on Kids WB. Like they were just starting to air whatever the fuck they wanted, because they just wanted to try to distance themselves from having anime. They wanted more like, but they decided to replace anime with cartoons from other regions that were kind of mediocre at best.
What was the point in that? Like, wasn't anime legitimately like helping you? Like, Pokemon literally made you what you are. Yu-Gi-Oh helped you made what you are. Mega Man, Beautiful Joe. You could have literally continued Beautiful Joe, and y'all let me down.
But there were multiple factors as to why Pokemon left. I'm gonna give you one example. They had a special earlier in the year. I don't remember the name of it, but what I remember, it was the very first special to have the completely new cast, where the Pokemon Company took over and 4Kids was no longer going to have the license for Pokemon, and thus most of the cast got recast.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Battle Frontier.
Well, before Battle Frontier, there was a special in 2006. And Ash had a different voice actress than the one that she would get in the new era. Let me see. It was like, the Mastermind of Mirage Pokemon, because that was a movie special made specifically for North America that was commissioned by the Pokemon Company. And I believe KZ Rogers originally was the voice of Ash in this special as the replacement for Veronica Taylor before they ended up. But her performance was not liked to the point where when they brought this special to DVD, they had Sarah Natochenny redub her KZ Rogers lines as Ash, because she would be the one who would eventually go on to replace Veronica Taylor full time.
Starting from Battle Frontier, funny enough.
Yes, because there was a controversy, like, because it had low ratings. In addition to it not being good, there was supposedly a petition to get Pokemon Company to get the 4Kids actors that were not coming back to come back. Like the main cast members in question being Veronica Taylor, Rachel Lillis, Eric Stewart, and Madeline Blaustein. Like mainly those four, because they were like the ones who voiced like the main characters on the show. And it's really like one of the very few voice actors that actually stuck around the whole time was voice actor James Carter Cathcart, who was the voice of Gary Oak, and he would be the one to replace Eric Stewart as James and replace Madeline Blaustein as Meowth, and was also the new Professor Oak. But yeah, so Pokemon not being there, actually not being on Kids WB anymore, actually felt wrong, considering after like 7 to 8 years when you're just used to having it on the network. And then the fact that they took Yu-Gi-Oh out, in fairness, it's because Yu-Gi-Oh actually did end its run.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the original plan was to get Yu-Gi-Oh GX before Kids WB was like, nah, and it just went to Cartoon Network instead. And what I remember was that we were getting some mediocre to bad shows, and I just tuned out. And then in 2008, I was pulled back because they had the Spectacular Spider-Man, which was actually one of the best Spider-Man cartoons. But then all of a sudden, on here's the specific date. It was May 17th, 2008. That was when Kids WB rebranded to the CW4 Kids. And then later on, years later, it'd be rebranded to Toonzot. And then when 4Kids lost control of that block to Saban, it became the Vortex. And then it died, and then that block died in September of 2014. And the last show that aired was Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. Like the block just died. There was no send off because they were the last Saturday morning cartoon block on on national television. And when it died, it didn't die with a bang. It died with a very. It didn't even die with a whimper. It died with a wet fart. That's how little they actually cared.
And that's how we remember them, as a wet fart.
Yes, but at the end of it all, but I tuned out around 2006, full time because it just wasn't really a lot of the new shows weren't interesting to me anymore, and Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue was in addition to Lunatics Unleashed, Shaggy and Scooby Doo Get a Clue was the show that really scared me from the network. Why?
Yeah, it was dog shit, pun intended.
Why? Fucking why? I don't even know how that show even aired on Cartoon Network, and if it did, it probably didn't air that long. But
Probably didn't.
But nah. And I was still watching Cartoon Network, so at least there was some stuff there that I was watching. But Kids WB, I practically just was done. I'd stopped. I mainly tuned in during the CW4 Kids era because around that time when the Fox box wrapped up and CW4 Kids was airing stuff, the main show that it got from Fox box that I was still watching was the 2003 Ninja Turtle series because it moved to this block to finish up the rest of the run. It looked like they were going to keep going, but then Paramount bought the IP of Ninja Turtles, and then it ended with Turtles Forever, and that's it. And then by that point, I stopped watching. But funny enough, there was actually a Kamen Rider show that was on CW4 Kids, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight, which is a better show than that fucking Mask Rider show that was on Fox Kids. Still wasn't great, but at least I tried. And then it's I just stopped watching because there wasn't anything that interested me. So 2006 was really the turning point for me, but 2004, 2005 was a slow decline. And then the last episode question before we do the community questions, and we'll start with EpicMan on this one. What do you think of Kids WB as a block in the long run, and did it impact you in any way? So Epic, we'll start with you.
For me, I mean, I don't know if I would say it impacted me in the big sense because as I said before, it was I watch it from time to time. I've gone back and forth with other channels because I have so much that I can watch of other cartoons, and this one, it was just another channel for me to binge watch cartoons, and I had my fun with it. I really had my enjoyment with watching various shows that I really get a chuckle and a laugh out. And I would say this is a really nice channel to have for kids that probably don't have cables or much to go look at to have because it really connected with a lot of people, and I really appreciate for what they were doing back then. And I think it's really good to have channels like these to have kids to come in to watch for the morning and in the weekends to enjoy. It's really, really good. I mean, I would say it would do a good impact for everyone because, I love seeing people enjoy and talk about cartoons and just talking about the latest episodes and just get a good chatter about with friends and all that stuff, it's always a good time to go and be a fan of cartoons and animations. It's always nice to see people getting into it, and I'm I'm glad that such channels like these existed. So it's a really good thing to see when they were trying to give good ideas and weird ideas and bad ideas around to see what it could stick and what can it not stick, and they go with it however they can to try to make people get into these shows. And it's really, people just want to get into TV shows in different ways. They
Yeah.
try to figure out what works, and it's really nice. I just want to see people try to do their stuff and see maybe they can make it. They
Okay.
just want to make things work. So I mean, yeah, it makes a big impactful. It's one of the channels out there that gets people to get into Saturday morning cartoons. It's really nice. So yeah, I'd say it does. Yeah, for me.
All right. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, it's very impactful. I wouldn't take it back for the world. Again, it was just interesting managing between this and the other station we keep mentioning, Foxbox. It was you come in at Yu-Gi-Oh at 8:00. I believe I'm trying to remember the time slots off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But Yu-Gi-Oh was definitely 8. I remember because Yu-Gi-Oh was 8 and 11. So I'd come in for Yu-Gi-Oh. I think moved back to Foxbox for something. I think Pokemon was at 9 a.m. at some time, so moved back to Kids WB. I know Sonic X, TMNT, or Kirby was like 9:30, 10, or 10:30 in that like margin. Then moved back to Yu-Gi-Oh at 11 to watch the 2 episodes per week because they needed 2 episodes per week for Yu-Gi-Oh. Duels were sometimes 5 episodes back in those days,
Yeah.
and there was no fast forwarding, there was no Netflix, and if you missed an episode, you had to catch a rerun too. And as
Lots
you
of
could find that
flashbacks.
painful, lots of flashbacks. Yeah, and sometimes they bided their time with flashbacks and clip show episodes too. So I distinctly remember the one with Yugi and Kaiba in the helicopter, ready to go find Joey who was kidnapped by Merrick, but. Again, it was just interesting. But again, a lot of time management, which is fun, and a lot of kids shows catching. And ultimately, yeah, Kids WB's block was powerful. It was bangers. We all mentioned bangers here. We just all noted that it started to really dissipate in sort of a off-hill, like dive off a hill moment in 2005. Again, a lot of the banger shows ended. And Yu-Gi-Oh! And Challenge Showdown were finishing up, and then it was slop, and then it was dog shit, as we mentioned. So again, it just happens. It happens in the world of art. Nothing like shines bright, blazingly forever. Ever it happens. But again, we'll always cherish the time and the impact it took on our life.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. What about you, Hito?
So, repeat the question one more time.
So the question is, like, what do you think about Kids WB as a block overall, and did it leave any impact for you?
Oh, Deadass did leave an impact for me. I mean, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! For starters. Challenge Showdown definitely did some things. And that's all I really have to say on that. Like, you heard me like literally rant. The fact that I have shit memorized to this day still should tell you how much of an impact it was. Because literally, I have littered, I believe, our whole conversation with literal references.
Yep.
And blowing minds with like the Flea's signature move and shit like that. Like, come on.
Yeah, sharing is caring. The fact that this bear boy jerry rigged another TV to record stuff, it kids don't even get that much. Like, look at him.
Like legit. Like, listen, when you're poor and you don't have cable, this is what you do.
YouTube didn't exist, and there was no online watching shows. Kids don't get it, bro. You had to not miss an episode under any means necessary.
I found a way to stream by using the VCR. I'm not kidding, by the way.
Yeah.
I wish I was not kidding.
Yeah.
You would basically just record your gameplay on the video stuff, and then you would translate the video to DVD, and then take the DVD's data into the computer, and then boom, video.
I wish
but
I
that's
was able
all
to
it
do that.
was. I was like, mind you, that's how old it was for me. It was like, wow, I gotta use the VCR for everything. I think I still have like the old videos of me actually like just doing gameplay because I was trying to get like, that's how old I am doing this shit to this day. And a lot of people are like, there's no way that was possible. Like, no, it was fucking possible.
It was.
It was Stone Age, but it was possible. We made shit work.
Yep.
Like,
Playing 2 rock together.
exactly. Like, I still have old gameplay bits of me doing Super Paper Mario on the Wii, on the VCR.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
On the VCR.
Yeah,
which
I
are
do that
edible, and you
too.
sell 5 of in your shop.
Like, yeah, exactly. So, legitimately, doing that geriatric shit that I did with fucking recording one channel on the TV in my room and then watching the other stuff in the one beforehand. I also have a distinct memory of my mom literally when we had the video cassettes for Pokemon. It ended with the full Poke Rap. We literally paused 150 times just to list out all the Pokemon in the rap, just so I could see which ones I need as a checklist of the Pokemon out of 150 of them that I needed as like a little figurine for. So I remember my first one being Bulbasaur, then my next one was a Dratini, and then I had another one that was like then I had a Pikachu, then a Squirtle, a Charmander, and then I just started like going in. I had Togepi, which I was like, this was not on the list. And I'm like, I'm sorry, they released Togepi so early. What do you want from me? So like legitimately the WB kids, you know, the stuff, the good stuff, did a lot of impact for me. To this day, I still get up from work and I'm like, God, I wish I had the Lonky Kite or the Serpent's Tail just so I could fucking just speed my way to work, or give me the Golden Tiger Claws and I could just like wake up, get dressed, swipe in, and then I'm in the office. Like I legitimately have these thoughts. I had this thought what on Friday, literally on Friday, where I was like, I gotta go into the office. Damn, I wish the Golden Tiger Claws were real. Anyway, like it was that serious. It was that real, and that's how much of an impact Kids WB shows did for me.
Yep. All right. What about you, Korshal?
So for me, so I know I've talked about how it was like kind of my tertiary like channel. I think about the impact now, like the stuff I realized I enjoyed catching a bit, or like I have memories like you're talking about Static Shock and everything too. I remember seeing these shows, and what it really makes me think about in the long run of like it's something I wish I had spent more time with. I think I would have more greatly appreciated what I did catch. Like there were a couple shows that were clearly my jam when we're talking about like top 5 stuff and like the toys that I'd be convinced to like beg my parents for and everything. You get things like that. And like you really now with like retrospect, when you look back and you see all the shows they did or the stuff that was coming around, and like being a competitor with the Fox Box for Kids TV era, like having that back and forth, I think was a lot of good for kids of like 2000s era where we were saying like streaming wasn't a thing, internet wasn't really like a realistic thing unless you really wanted to wait a really long time for dial up to load up that video, or you get your like 4 to 5 minute clips at most for like 10 clips making up one episode on the olden YouTube surfing days. It's like, no, you had to go to these places to catch up. We were saying that like you miss something on a once a week like long show, you don't know what you're missing. Like that's in the void if you miss something like that. And like you're lucky if 6 months later you finally get caught up a bit when they had to reset the cycle. And like I think about that and I really wish I had been able to catch more of it and like dedicated more. So many things were fighting for my little like peanut brain as a kid. And obviously like Fox Box was kind of more the winner of that in my mind. When it came to some things, I had to make sure I was like here for that. But I look back on it now and it's like, man, if I went now, even though I feel like I have such clear memory of certain shows, I know I didn't get to watch every one of them. Right. There's plenty I missed, and it leaves this door I've just left shut for like getting to experience shows that I've never fully gotten to see now. I mean, like if I went to watch all of Shaolin Showdown, I bet I only saw like half of that show max when it came to everything. Same with Mucha Lucha. Yeah. There's going to be a bunch where I'm like, I have a lot of really positive memories of these shows for what little I saw. And it really like, that means they had an impact. If I'm here like, wow, I usually watched the Fox Channel stuff more, but I still really think about Jack Spicer all the time, then you're like, that means these shows were like good, like really catching my attention for what it was. And I wish now, like obviously now that we've really brought it up, it's on my mind of like, I've got to make time to find these somewhere and watch them. But even like that makes me with back then, I should have been able to see this a little bit more. So I'd have stronger like nostalgia memories for these two beyond what I already have. And like, I'm glad it was there. I think it was really important that it was there in the long run and for like those formative years for me, even just to give me like alternative programming for like the main primary stuff I had watched. And like the fact now it tells me, especially getting to hear everyone else's tales, especially there's so much clearer detail in some of these things than I do, it tells me this is like a vault worth opening. That I'm glad so many people spent their time making some really cool shows or like funny stuff or like off the wall kind of creative ideas. They say like, this is worth going to. Like, we can't just leave it in the vault. Like, you got to open that stuff up now and kind of re-embrace it a bit. That's what I feel when I say it's like, this is something that I want to see when I appreciate so much behind like animation things and like script writing. We know like the 2000s was like that golden era of sneaking in as many like adult things and references through sneaky dialogue that we could. And like, there's that treasure chest for me to get. And I want to see it now, especially now more than ever, getting to hear about this. That's
that
what
treasure be in One Piece, perchance?
Oh, God.
I mean,
Oh, here we go.
The rap did make... This is a different episode to talk about 4Kids, but like, I talked about weaponized theme songs. That song worked on me, all right? I will say that.
I don't blame you.
4Kids knew what they were doing. So to get all that and be like, I know it was a bunch of marketing. They wanted to sell me toys. That's what all these shows wanted to do. And it worked. Because obviously I was owning the toys. But it might have been a marketing trap to convince my little head that this was something worth begging to my parents about. But thank you for giving me something worth begging to my parents about. Because it just meant there's that springboard for imagination. Even if it's just like a thing to make my parents spend money, as I now have my Jack Spicer toy thrown across the room, as I prior mentioned. What that meant was it gave me a platform for imagination, and these shows kept giving me further ideas of things I like to like bounce off with and have in my own mind of like, this is my creative spark provided to me by WB Kids for even what little I got out of it. And I think that speaks a lot to it. I think that speaks a lot to the strength of the block. Up until that, like, we've all said it now, 2005, 2006, everything kind of dove. But, like, until that point, we were hitting bangers. So, thank you, WB Kids.
Oh, yeah. So, for me, Kids WB did leave a lasting impact for me. Especially, like, towards, like, the late 90s to the 2000s, up until, like, around, like, 2004 to 2006. But those years, I just could not get enough of that channel. I could not get enough of that block. There was so many bangers that came out throughout that time, even before it. Some of which were outsourced, and then there were some shows that made the jump from Fox Kids to Kids WB because those were the shows that Warner Brothers owned, like Batman, Tiny Toons, and Animaniacs. So. And then, like, continuing on with the DC universe, having those, as well as having all these cool comedy cartoons, all these cool action cartoons, mysteries, anime. It was pretty much, like, one of the best ways to showcase variety on your Saturday morning block during that time. And I felt like they did such a fantastic job. And for me, like, a lot of those shows still resonate with me to this very day. So it definitely impacted me a lot in so many different ways. The biggest thing being just adding different varieties and knowing when to space them out. Like, so you have an action show, then you have a comedy show, you have an anime, you have a mystery, and so much more. Like, and even a wrestling show like Mucha Lucha, which you can't say anything more than that. I love it. We have only 3 questions for the community questions, but let's start with Dari Gamer. Do you believe that Kids WB was the pioneer for Saturday morning cartoons, or was there another network better than them? The pioneer was not them. The pioneer was actually, like, from a long time ago. It was actually, to me, it was like CBS, NBC, and ABC. But there was a time where NBC had Saturday morning cartoons, and they dropped it for teen stuff. then Fox Kids took over, but then Kids WB took over the moment they got Pokemon, the moment that we got like Batman Beyond, we were getting Mucha Lucha, Shaolin Showdown, Jackie Chan, Men in Black. There were so many shows. It wasn't a pioneer, but it did, however, set so many different trends over the years.
Yeah, it had bangers at the exact right time for our exact age group. It had bangers at the exact pristine pinpoint time for us to get into.
It's just that Pokemon was practically the Trojan horse, and then it led us into like other stuff. Like, oh, you like Batman Beyond? Oh, you like Shellshock? You like Yu-Gi-Oh? You like Mucha Lucha?
Yeah,
Like, and the list just keeps going. And that's just my opinion. What about you, Korshal?
Ooh, so we keep alluding to this. In my biased opinion, if we talk about a thing that like pioneered a certain aspect of things, at least like first in my brain, I feel like the angle Foxbox took with some of its like marketing and I keep talking about the theme songs. I'm honest, like if you were in the 2000s as a kid show and you had some sort of like earworm of a theme song, like you kind of see that in both Kids WB and like Foxbox, and I blame 4Kids for all their woes and troubles that studio had. They could slap out a song that kids remembered for their like title song for any particular show. So like I sit here and think about like what was it between Fox and WB that for me personally, obviously Fox won the long war. They're like the ones that ultimately I ended up being there a little more than WB. So like I take that into consideration where like for me, I was like, was it just a matter of the subject material? Was it like how much of a heavy hand did 4Kids have in particular before they started popping up more on Kids WB? And like that weird mix that they were kind of on both sides. When you think about like the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, you think about where Pokemon was for a while with their dubbing potential, and like where these shows were winding up and what they had a hand in. And like, it's hard for me to say. I wouldn't deny that I do think there's a lot that Kids WB and the whole block throughout its evolutions did to keep eyes glued on the screen when I think about that. And like, I think about beyond that, sorry, it's like, this is a really complex question to me because I think about like what these were. And I think about as soon as I stepped outside of the television screen, when you go out into like the toy section of the store, what was it I was coming across that I was seeing more? Or like what shows made me want to buy things? And you get like, there's so much crossover when it comes to my era of watching kids shows and being like, this is why I'm tuning in on Saturday. That also like correlated to like cross media stuff. Because we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh being a card game, or like you think about Pokemon being the pop culture sensation that continues to dominate even till today, because it ain't ever going to stop, to their credit, and I still love them.
Yeah.
And you think about that, and it's just like, was the platform of Kids WB the pioneer, or was it just like kind of a serendipity of we happen to have these other greater pieces that like we knew we had the savvy for signing the network deal at the right time of being like, this is where we get Pokemon on our channel. We have a good feeling about this. Will this do it? So it really like, it makes me really think hard about it, where it's just like, I have to think about where I need to properly give credit of like, is it the networks or was it like the IP that was being animated and like who was arranging all of this?
Yeah.
So like that's a really long-winded answer and I apologize, but like,
no worries.
To shorten it and give a re-summary, I would say yes. Kids WB, I think, definitely did really good. It's hard for me to say, honestly, whether or not, like, I think they were at the best, because I definitely have a Foxbox, like, bias when I think about, like, the aggressive marketing of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a very big thing for me. I was very swayed by that. And, like, the constant video game stuff of that, there's so much poured into that says, like, oh, you want something your kid remembers? Here's the toys. Here's the games. You're going to remember the silly TMNT opening song more than anything, because 4Kids was just, like, on fire with these silly, kind of superficial songs that so stuck with me. It did all it needed to do. It was advertising via lyrical form, and it caught me. And you're like, there's just something about that I think Foxbox had a little bit of an edge on.
Yeah.
I think his WB did also do good, but if I had to put the vote in the bucket, I think Foxbox had a little bit of an edge if I had to choose.
That's fair. Epic. Do you think that Kids WB was the pioneer for Saturday morning cartoons, or do you think there was another network better than them at the time?
I feel like that Kids WB would like be just another program for me. As I always say, that I always go back to Cartoon Network for everything, because like I said, I always go back to it. It's my favorite program, and it's kind of hard for me to say if it is pioneer or not, because it really is just, for me at least, in my opinion, that it's just another program that I watch if anything happens where I couldn't be able to watch the other channels. I just want to go ahead and see what's going on. But even then, Saturday morning cartoons are always something that I always tune into, because I like to spend my weekends on just watching TV and not having to, you know, having to go into school and stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of really good shows on that channel, and I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Same for any other channels, and I'm just, happy that it existed, and I really like that we get more variety of channels that we can see and watch. And I never really think of much of what is the pioneer of Saturday morning cartoons. I just felt that everything we always get from other channels are just essentially like our entertainment, our favorite entertainment of watching shows, no matter where we go. And depends on who you ask, if they even have cable, or if they have any other means of watching the channels in their own ways. Like, it depends on who you're asking for what they think what they think about pioneering of, well, what is the best channel for it. I mean, like I said, still for me, Cartoon Network, because I like watching onto that channel. But still, Kids WB for that, it's gonna be it's just another program that I've always watched back and forth if I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I wouldn't say if it is a pioneer per se, but as I said before, it is like something I would always go back for anything if I wanted to watch something else that isn't on Cartoon Network.
All right, sounds
So,
good.
Yeah.
What about you, Matt?
Very, very interesting. I'm gonna stitch together my interjection I made to you, Pete, and bounce off of Korsh's answer. It's interesting. It's like the question's unfortunately worded partially incorrectly. Not to insult the viewers, it's just worded front loadedly. Did Kids Be really pioneer anything? No. Did they make really good, correct decisions from the bigwigs in the office at the time to do things in a pinpoint manner that worked out to cash? Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all you need. Again, I don't know who the bigwigs were in the office, but they decided, yes, let's pick up this yellow rat monster catching show. Let's pick up this card game show. Let's pick up this new Batman show. Let's pick up this funny yellow orb-headed kid Chinese Talaman show. Well, that show. Let's pick up the actual real life Chinese Chinese martial artist action show, Jackie Chan Adventures. So whoever this bigwig was in the office making these decisions, bigwig or big wigs, they were on point. They were cooking. They actually had a brain in their fucking body, which can be a lot. This can be said for not a lot said for people this day and age. But anyway. Anyway, again, whatever they were cooking, whatever they were on, they were on. Did they pioneer anything? No. Did they make pinpoint amazing business decisions? Yes, and sometimes that's all you need. You don't always have to use the P word pioneer. Sometimes just brains and business decisions is all you need. And yeah, Korsh is on some other theme songs. Like again, well, Pokemon, we all know, you teach me, I teach you. Pokemon, gotta catch them all. It's a big, obviously. But again, even It's Time to Duel even stuck with the series to this very day. They even play it at the end of the 2017 previously mentioned Dark Side Dimensions movie, where they bring back all the old characters and voice actors because it's one final hurrah for original Yu-Gi-Oh! They still play it at the end of the credits in that movie, so it clearly stuck around 17 years later. So again, just good decisions at the right time.
Yep. Hito.
Answer this question, the Pioneer thing.
Oh, you did?
Oh, wait, no, I didn't.
No, you did not.
I answered the other question. I would say kids, I have to kind of piggyback off of Matt because that's kind of the choice there when it comes down to it. It is essentially like they did make good decisions. They did do things as a good network, but you saw how quickly a bad decision made the network drop down immediately, from cutting the anime to cutting off some of the original content to making weirder, odder choices to appropriation in some of those choices. I'm looking at you, the Boom Crew. Like
a fucking artistic disaster right there.
Yep.
Like you only got 4 episodes for a reason. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, if they were more prominent on doing if they were more in their P's and Q's, essentially making the decisions that they were doing back in the early 2000s before doing everything, they probably still would have had a network by now and actually had a chance to pioneer something. I just think that they're another network that kind of came in and did their thing. Is it I would say that it joined the onslaught of cartoon channels trying to bring anime to the West, which is great. One of the few. That includes also Toonami and I mean, we could say Fox too, but it was one of the few channels that was bringing anime to the US. So that's actually pretty something there. It's one of the 3. So, because Nickelodeon at the time, they weren't bringing anime. They were bringing Drake and Josh and all of the other good cartoons that we enjoyed, all the Western shit, which is great. The Sci-Fi Channel was definitely another one, but a little later. Yeah. A little later than that. But, because they had Street Fighter. They had Street Fighter coming in, which was fun. But I will say it was one of the main responses that brought it in very quickly. Did the job, had the good time, took the piss in the elevator. It was great. I had to.
Of course.
I just stay on
we gotta cross the jokes like we crossed the stream.
Yeah.
But all in all together, Pioneer, not so much. They made good decisions to basically get other good things going for them, which is great.
Yep.
So, all in all, I would say, not really pioneered, but did join the pioneering age of adding anime to their situation.
Join pioneering age is a good way to reference it, yeah.
Yeah.
Word down my mouth.
Yeah, because the thing is that they were the trends, like they were setting so many trends. They were not afraid to take risks. I think that like early on they were just doing their homework, seeing like what the other networks were doing, and whenever the other networks were making mistakes, they were like, okay, let's look and see what we can do to not make those mistakes, and instead we're going to add some stuff we want to show to kids and what we think the kids want to see, as a way to diversify our own block, and it worked. And
more anime titty,
or capturing Pokemon. But yeah, so the next question comes from Professor Icepick. Apparently, most markets air Kids WB's main lineup on Saturday mornings, but in Chicago. In Chicago, we got it on Sundays. Was that just us, or did it air at a different time slot in your markets? It really depends on where you live. I feel like there's quite a few areas where you would have Kids WB on like a different slot because of whatever the affiliate, the WB affiliates were doing at the time. But over here, it was Saturday mornings, and I remember when it first started, it ended at 11. But then in the first season of Kids WB in '95, but then in '96 they added the extra hour. And also, one thing that has not been brought up is the fact that Kids WB actually had a weekday block. Like there were two, from 7 to 8 a.m. for 1 hour, and then they added like a 3-hour block in the afternoons from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Usually Fridays would be like when they would air reruns of some of the shows. Like they would sometimes air reruns of Pokemon. They would sometimes air reruns of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or some other shows. Not always, but they would rotate. But they did have the weekday block that they killed off like in 2006, I want to say. Yeah, 2006 was a terrible year for Kids WB, but yeah. But yeah, over here for me, Saturday morning cartoons for Kids WB. So that's when I would watch them. But like I said, they would also have the weekday block with different shows, usually reruns, or especially like Fridays would be reruns of the shows that you missed. So if you missed last week, this is your chance to watch it. Korshal.
So I was trying to remember just to make sure I'm like not wrong in this, but I'm pretty sure for me it was just the Saturday time with the Fox box. Like, I don't think I was wrong trying to remember, like, did it air at any other time? But I think in my area, it was always just the classic, like, oh yeah, you're waking up just the day after school. We got to keep you up and going at it. So it was Saturday. Pretty sure it's a Saturday for me.
Mm-hmm. EpicMan.
Remind me, what was the question again?
Did it air on Saturday mornings on your end, or did it air like at a different time? But considering the fact that we're in the same state, I already know what your answer is going to be, but you can say it.
I mean, I don't know. If I remember correctly, I think it did. Not that I remember. I mean, it's such a long time ago. I'm vaguely remembering about that, but I don't know.
Because it was always Saturday. Yeah.
Because I don't think I remember fully about all that really. So I really don't have a comment on that, to be honest. Sorry.
Yep. Oh, I was also looking at. But before I say anything, what about you, Matt?
Well, yeah, and living in the relative same area as you four, except for Korshal. Yeah, it was pretty much always Saturday morning. I do have one interesting story to share. Now, the details are very fuzzy to me because this was 2004, but I don't visit my aunt too often, or back in the day. I didn't fly on too many planes back in the day, not for any particular reason. My parents didn't travel much, but my aunt lived in Chicago, and here's a very weird story. I knew, because it was a weekend Chicago flight trip, I knew I was going to miss Saturday morning Yu-Gi-Oh! It was the second episode, well, it was a shit duel anyway, but it was Kaiba versus Merrick on top of the blimp not at the end of the arc, but near the end of the near before the final of the Battle City Tower, basically. But anyway,
you mean a Shizu?
No. There was a time. No. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. I'm wrong. It was when Kaiba dueled. No. Let me finish. It was when Kaiba dueled Yami Bakura in 2004. My bad.
There we go.
No. Yeah. It was when they dueled on top of the blimp, 2004. Yeah. 2004? Yeah, I think it was, yeah. Anyway, it was a shit duel anyway. Long story short, Long story short, I knew I was going to miss it because I'm flying out the Friday night, and Saturday I was going to miss it anyway. But then I look on my aunt's guide. I don't know what cable she had at the time. Again, I couldn't remember it, the fuzzy details. But the Yu-Gi-Oh! New episode of the 2-part duel between Kaiba and Yami Bakura, it was 9:30 on a Sunday, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, 9:30 on a Sunday? What is this Chicago weird magicry? What? I was like, I slept in passing. I was like, oh, I'm already gonna miss the episode. Woe is me. I'll just sleep in on Sunday too at my aunt's house. And I looked back in the previous version of the guide, and it premiered at 9:30 on a Sunday. I couldn't remember what channel it was. I don't think it was Kids WB. I think it was like UPN. Again, very fuzzy 35% details I have. Not even close to 100. But I'm like, why the hell did this episode premiere 9:30 on a Sunday in Chicago? That was weird to me, and I never visited Chicago again. That was weird though. But that was the one time I saw a show premiere way outside of its time range and way outside of its channel range for no particular reason, and I couldn't tell you what cable my aunt had. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was just weird, and I blacked it out. Well, I half blacked out of my memory.
Yeah. What about you, Hito?
Technically speaking, WB Kids actually aired on Mondays through Fridays too.
Yeah.
Sometime on the after school block, which will be like from 3 to 5. And I remember this because the lineup would always be it would always be Mega Man NT Warrior being the first one, then Static Shock, then a Pokemon episode, and then it would end with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I remember this all the time because Mom used to work in a hospital as a clerical worker, and they had a little TV since it was in the pediatrics. So they would always put on Kids WB, and I would end up watching and mind you, I got to be a little sneaky sometimes with the controller because I would just like hide the controller someplace, and then I would just be like, beep, you're gonna watch this. None of that PBS crap today. We're watching Pokemon. So I would grab the controller and do that, and then we would just end up watching Mega Man, Static Shock, Pokemon, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! And then they changed it a little bit to Jackie Chan Adventures, the Batman, Pokemon, then Yu-Gi-Oh! Or then it would be Shaolin Showdown, Static Shock, and then Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Jackie Chan Adventures, Shaolin Showdown, or Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! It always ended with Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, exactly.
But legitimately, I remember this one time that I got so mad that I literally took the controller from someone. I'm like, we're watching this. And they're like, no, I don't want to watch this. And it was the duel between Taya and the Penguin.
Crump. His name was Crump.
I know it was Crump. I'm just like,
yeah, you're generically saying the Penguin.
It was like a whole bunch of times that he would do something lewd. I'm like, why do I feel like he's sizing her up a bit? And then I look at the Japanese dub and I'm like, oh my
goodness.
Oh no. And then mind you, I'm like, did 4Kids make a foot fetish joke? Because they literally decided to like shoe size 13. I'm like, that's the tamest way that they're going to say anything else.
Maybe.
In this part, because they're not going to say the other shit that he was thinking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
So I'm like, that's the most tamest part in this situation.
Yep.
But yeah, it used to. They had an after school block. So literally from 3 to 5, you're watching shit like this.
Yep. So I was looking it up. So here's an explanation about in certain regions, certain markets, that they did not carry Kids WB on Saturdays. So I'm reading on Wikipedia. It says, although Kids WB aired on almost all the WB affiliated stations, including those later affiliated with the WB 100 plus station group, the network Chicago affiliate WGN-TV, owned by the WB's co-parent, the Tribune Company, declined to carry the weekday and Saturday blocks. Instead, it opted to air its weekday and Saturday morning newscasts. First incarnation of the latter was canceled in 1998. And some other local produced programming in the morning hours and syndicated programming in the afternoon hours. Kids WB programming instead aired on Weigel Broadcasting owned WCIU TV. However, WGN's Superstation feed carried the block from 1995 to 1999, making the network available to markets without a local affiliate. And they began clearing Kids WB on Chicago Broadcast Signal in 2004, taking over the local rights. At launch, 30% of the network's 78 affiliates cleared block for Sundays. The total summer station.
I was correct. Oh my god, I was correct.
The total sum of the stations carrying the block as affiliates of the network accounted for 83% of the population. Plans for a weekday morning block started in early 1996, mirroring a similar move from UPN Kids. The block was set to start in 1997. But yeah, we had the weekday block in 96.
Thanks for looking that up for me. I would have never done it myself. I just accept my memory as my memory. Thank you.
So
yeah, man, both of my friends are blowing my mind. Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow, even more. Chicago fucking sucks. Chicago sucks. You kids got Yu-Gi-Oh! A day and an hour later. damn, bro. Fucking hell, dude. Chicago fucking sucks.
But like, but we definitely did get, weekday blocks. I used to watch like reruns of like Batman Beyond or Hysteria or some other shows like back in the day, while they would also have a Pokemon episode here and there. And I remember watching reruns of Card Captors on Fridays, because if I missed it on Saturday, then they would air that same episode on Fridays. They even had held a contest at one point in which that a random Kids WB winner from that contest could get to voice act a character on an episode.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah, like that was like late 2000, early 2001 when they hit that contest. But like I remember they were doing so many contests with Pokemon. They were doing so many contests for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because those were like the two like biggest shows. They did contests for pretty much everything. And also here's the thing I forgot to mention about KSWB. All those bumpers where you see like all those characters from all those shows interacting with each other, that was cool.
That was awesome. That was fire. Absolutely.
And I'll say this right now, Cartoon Network totally bit on that one.
Of
course.
They did.
They 100%.
Yeah, but just having them like within the area, like with the water tower, and then you would see them interacting. My favorite interactions were like when it was all revolving around Pokemon. Like I remember seeing how I think it was old Bruce from Batman Beyond not knowing like what a Pokemon was.
One of my was a Pokemon.
And another thing was fucking Static Shack. Like all because Shaquille O'Neal guest starred in an episode of Static Shock.
Oh my god.
Fucking like Robin was washing Batman's cape, but it turned out that it shrunk in the wash.
I remember that one. And
then because Batman was so pissed off saying dry clean only.
Yeah, dry clean only, you're right. Holy shit, you're bringing it all back to me, yes.
Yeah, fucking yeah, like I fucking love Kids WB. Like I felt like the fact that these characters interacted, it gave Kids WB a bigger personality. Just it's like a completely big universe. Everyone's just there, just hanging out, having fun. And even the fact that even Pokemon and even Yu-Gi-Oh! Got to be a part of that as well was wild. The last question is from Dragonflame. What did Kids WB do better than other networks at the time, in your opinion? The answer? They were taking so many risks. Like they wanted, like when they noticed, like for example, because CBS was complacent, NBC stopped doing cartoons. They were just moving on to teen stuff like Saved by the Bell and shit. Fox was around like the late 90s. They were coasting on the popularity of Power Rangers, and even then when Power Rangers was on the decline for a while, then they noticed ABC. Like the ABC was like the only other one that was just doing their shit, like with Disney and whatnot. So Kids WB, they were like, okay, let's start by changing up our lineup and adding more variety. Let's add some DC cartoons on there, like we got Batman and Superman, and then oh hey, we're hearing about this big anime that's coming from Japan and this video game that is about to take the world by storm. Let's bring that show on the Kids WB with all those monsters that people are collecting. Let's add that there. Let's see if people will like it. Spoiler alert, kids fucking love it. Taking risks to bring Pokemon to the network, and then capitalizing on that by adding Yu-Gi-Oh, adding Mega Man NT Warrior. So much awesome shows. They were trying to give us exactly what we wanted and not insult our intelligence. They were doing the best job with that at the time compared to the other networks. They wanted to push the other networks to do better. It's like, oh, we got this stuff, you do better. That was just really it. Korshal?
Yeah, you summed up pretty much a lot of thoughts I would have had. Like, I definitely think about it, and you're like, oh, what did they do better? And they knew the zeitgeist of a couple really hit anime properties that were gonna become a cornerstone of our childhoods as well. Just having the savvy being like, yeah, let's sign this on. This seems like a good thing to do. I haven't think if I have like another thought as the Foxbox boy here. If I was like, what did I feel like I was missing out on compared to like what I was getting in the other network? I really think like I gotta say my vote's also in the like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon was such a smart decision. Like we obviously can't like emphasize that enough for two properties that are still to this day like as big as it could be for some things. Pokemon more so. I think like Yu-Gi-Oh's still there and it's still like I know plenty of people who still keep up with the card game, but like
don't forget Master Duel was once the most 6 played game on Steam.
Yeah. So like
period.
Knowing they help be a launching pad for two of like the largest kids like pop culture things that have persisted through multiple decades by this point, you're like, yeah, you can't say that's anything else but like big brain strategic play that they could have done. Like that I think tops any other show signing marketing thing on any other kids network. And it doesn't come close. I think so that they definitely got that in their hat. And I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Epic Man? What do you think that Kids WB did better than other networks at the time?
I don't know if I would say I feel like they did something better personally. I mean, like I said before, I appreciate for all the stuff they've done to bring in more variety of shows, which is what I would say one of them they did good on. But even then, I don't know if I would say I feel there was something better. I watched other channels that I felt like they did a really good job on their own, and but yet the WB they made really a lot of good interesting choices for to try to make things more of their own personality, to make themselves be different than the others, to make them stand out, which really worked. And the kids really do love all the stuff they've done with the bumpers and getting kids introduced with these shows and all that stuff. I would say those are really nice to see. But even then, I don't know if I would say if I would prefer this over the other. I would still always prefer Cartoon Network personally.
That's fair.
But no, I mean, I just think that it's great to have these channels. As I said before, they always have a meaningful place in someone's heart, that they love the channel for various reasons here and there. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's still a good channel anyway.
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt.
Okay. I was thinking about it too while that nice answer was going on. Thank you. To bounce off what you said, actually, it was the bumpers. What Kids WB did better than anyone else. Now, Foxbox is really close. I'm going to mention Foxbox in one sec. There was the bumpers of the characters photoshopped out, interacting with each other. All those fun little specials. The two that I was trying to think of that weren't mentioned yet they did a Pokemon like tournament based one where they were clearly goofing off. Like Terry McGinnis would send out the Batmobile, like Batmobile Go, and Ash like shocked it with Pikachu. So Ash won the first round of the tournament. I think, funnily enough, Misty would eventually beat Ash in this bumper special canonically way before the World Islands. So that's pretty fucking funny. Misty got her first win against Ash in a semi-non-canon bumper. But anyway, I remember the tournament one where the respective cartoon characters would send out, like, Jackie Chan would send out, like, a talisman thing and would battle as a Pokemon. They were clearly just photoshopping and shitting around. But it was funny nonetheless. And they were having like a Pokemon tournament out of it because Pokemon was still obviously huge. This was like late 99. The other other small bumper I remember, now I'm trying to, now again, I couldn't pinpoint a name for this in my foggy memory, but there's definitely one where the characters are on a road trip and they would have like one joke per character. And I remember the joke for Yugi was that he was playing like Yu-Gi-Oh against like a statue, or I forget, it was one statue of a bird in like Wyoming. They were showing off real landmarks, and Yugi's like playing it like a ghoul against the statue. He's like, I played down Celtic Guardian in attack mode. Your move. And then the friends are waiting for him in like the mystery machine. I think they're right in the mystery machine. They're waiting for him in the car, and then it transitions to night, and it's like crickets, and Yugi's still sitting there waiting for his move. And he's like, dude, we think we should go. Anyway, I have to find the bumper at one point in my life, but that's so funny. Yugi lays down a card and plays against a statue, being the dingus that he is.
Oh, yeah.
Being the over gamer that he is, he challenges a statue to a duel, almost like a Metapod hardened ass thing. But anyway, yeah, they did the bumpers the best. Now we'll give Foxbox credit. They did hit a grand slam with the Foxbox National American Anthem. That will go over down as artistic mastery. But I will still give it to Kids WB for having a little more home runs. Because Foxbox never really did anything like that major. Like again, at least from my memory, I could be wrong. But the Foxbox American National Anthem was a grand slam. But Kids WB hit a bunch of single home runs, I think, add up to a little more. So I'll give the edge to Kids WB. But the Foxbox National Anthem, don't worry, you will forever live in my heart as artistic mastery.
Yep. What about you, Hito?
Repeat the question one more time.
What did Kids WB do better than other networks at the time, in your opinion?
Like I said originally, the bumpers, like honestly, they had a good way of interacting and making literally the whole universe its own universe, honestly. And it showed because they did it for 10 years straight with no problem from like 1997, like all, well, 9, because we don't technically count because 2006 was when it was going down, but they made essentially their own world. And then this started to follow a little bit more when Cartoon Network started biting off of it a little bit. And when other shows started biting off of it, like Foxbox started biting off of it, Jetix started biting off of it.
Oh, Jetix.
There's a lot of like, okay, cool. They're doing a good job at this. That means now other companies are not following this. Let's make it meta.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So that's essentially where I would say, like, when it came to universe building, they did that better.
Yeah, they did it. They did a great job, and honestly, just seeing all this, because I remember when like the WB as a channel first started, the character that I associated with the most, more than anyone, was the frog, the singing frog, Michigan J. Frog from Looney Tunes. They made him as like a bit of a mascot for the WB as a whole, and that also lended to Kids WB. But I remember seeing that frog in some Looney Tunes shorts where he was singing, and someone would see him sing, and nobody believed him because he was just like a regular frog to other people. But to him, he was just singing whatever the fuck he wanted. But yeah, so that's the episode. That's this week's episode shared with Shellshock and Korshal, Epic, Matt, Hito. Thank you for being a part of this. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you guys too. I love you guys to death.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you.
great being with everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I got closure. I have to learn more Flea lore and Chicago and is shit. Like I got so much closure. I'm so happy about. I can't believe it. After 20
That's
plus
what you
years.
get out of this, huh?
Yes. What a great growing experience with some good buddies of mine.
Oh yeah.
Hey, now take it easy. Play Scott the Waz outro stream. I'm out of here.
Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
so before we start signing off, Korshal, where can we find you?
So I am found at 3 main places. Blue Sky, I have the tag Korshal Valent. You will find me mainly reposting my awesome friends and my Songworks and streams occasionally when I get that up. So you'll see stuff in there. Watch me promote other cool people who make cool things. They are all worth your time, I promise. Then on my YouTube channel at Korshal Valent, where I post my game music remixes roughly every 3 weeks. Sometimes I gotta say mom and some projects I'm working on, and you say pop a little later, but like, you know, good stuff is there. And then twitch.tv, Korshal Valent, for my variety streams. I stream The Great Game Fortune Street at least once a week, unless your last night where a friend's internet died and we pivoted to Mario Party. But you get good stuff there along with platforming variety gaming. You'll catch me in all 3 if you want to hang out.
Awesome. What about you, Epic?
You can always find me on twitch.tv/TheEpicMan World. Same thing on Blue Sky. And if you're brave enough, I'm also there on Twitter just to dick around as usual.
Ooh.
So really,
This is on dick.
I'm all on those platforms.
All right.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, that's where you can always find me on there.
What about you, Matt?
Alrighty, well, twitch.tv/MattBigFat. I'm slowly getting back into getting my schedule back in order after a busy winter job, but adult life is adult life. So that'll be fun. I'm currently playing through Bonanza and Pokemon Legends EA. I have my YouTube MattBigFat Plus channel, which is a link right there. I have a command ready for it. And my normal YouTube channel. The Plus channel is a little more active at the moment, but I'm getting some highly edited content with some editors I'm contacting, hopefully, with the other main channel I have, the bottom one that's a little less used. But like I said, I'm slowly getting back into the world of good, fun, interesting content creation, and now I'll move on to a 35-year-old in 3 weeks. My birthday's in 3 weeks.
Yep.
So I'll be an old ass anime old man 35-year-old. Hell yeah.
Just enjoy whatever you have left of your 30s while you can, dude.
I will.
So all I'm thinking about is Omi doing the yes. You say you have the martial arts of an old man. He's doing old man kung fu, and the face is shriveled like a prune. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yes.
Oh god, old men never get any breaks in American cartoons or freaking.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, but yes, it's always a pleasure hanging with you guys and the Madness crew and everyone crew.
Yep. And what about you, Hito?
Well, you can find me on twitch.tv/HitoRetroGaming. You can also find me now on YouTube doing the HitoRetroGaming archives. That is where we keep all of our podcast episodes from the Retrogate. Seasons 1 through 3 are almost done, and we're about to do season 4 soon, and sooner or later we're in the middle of 5, which, by the way, if you want to join that, you're more than welcome to. By all means, do not forget that.
Yes.
To also continue out, we have a new YouTube channel, which is going to be all my edited content finally. I will not reveal the name of it later because I want it to grow naturally.
All right. And of course, you can find me on pretty much anywhere within the stratosphere except for Twitter, because fuck Twitter. But I am on Blue Sky, I'm on Discord, and I do my daily streams pretty much most days of the week. I don't like to do Saturdays because Saturdays I just like to use that day to vibe and chill. But we do have some more episodes to share with Shellshock planned out for the rest of the spring, which next week, Matt, you're going to be on again because we're going to do Pokemon. It's the Pokemania craze because you're with Shad, you're with Rick and Ben Magnet, who is actually a really cool dude that I'm really hoping that you get to meet because you would actually get along with him. But there are other episodes that are happening this year. You'll see soon enough. But yeah, Pokemania Craze is next week. All right, so once again, Korshal, Epic, Matt, Hito, once again, thank you guys for being a part of this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thanks again for having me. It's
I
always
came
great.
away learning things. Like I'm not saying that's not the case. I have so much closure now. I'm spiritually grown as a person.
You want more closure? I got you later on, Matt.
You got it, buddy.
Absolutely.
Bear me up here, boy. Actually, whoops.
But yeah,
hold on, I'll get the flogger.
But yeah, so thanks to everybody. So thanks to everybody that tuned in. I really appreciate all the support as always. So make sure to take care of yourselves. Be awesome. Stay awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Check out them as always. May you all fight for everlasting peace. And I'll see you guys next time. And remember, be kind, rewind, and have a great night, everybody. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night.